What? I should probably get the microphone in front of my face.
What?
And turn that down. All right. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Just trying to mess around with computer stuff. But hey, I'm here. I'm here. Don't worry. I made it. Got the vodka. It's going. Okay. Sorry. This needs... need a better workstation, I think. But, what can you do? All right. Sorry. Just looking at a message. What's happening, guys? Hey, it's Friday. We're here. We made it. I know. I'm a slow ass. What can I say? I'm here, guys. Don't worry. Had some computer difficulties. Hopefully that doesn't translate to another freeze up like last week. A couple times. How's it going, guys? Casual Batchin? It's right there. Yeah, that's right. What's happening, guys? It is Friday. Oh, do we need a drink tonight? My God, guys. My God. I guess we could say that social distancing is no longer happening anymore because everybody's just kind of getting together and doing all kinds of stuff and what the shit. Hey, Dave, it's a great day to be in America. America's, whew, man. I know. I tell you what, America is a lot of shit's going on. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Film Junkie. Do you think the Snyder Cut will redeem Cavill Superman and Affleck Batman and Ezra Miller Flash? What's up, Nick? What's up, Stallone fan? Jose, Ben, Drowning Some. What's going on, guys? Yeah. Churro Ninja. What is it? Churro Ninja. Fear Jason. What's going on? Like I said, guys, you can also subscribe to the Twitch. I have the Twitch feed. Making sure that's going and make sure that's good. Okay, I think that's a good way to do it right there. That's kind of cool. But anyways. Andrew, your question about redeeming Cavill Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman. And well, I mean, here's the thing. Andrew. I think for sure, I think it's going to redeem Snyder more than anything. For sure. I think people, even if they weren't like the biggest fan, and cheers, guys, by the way. Happy Friday. Cheers. Good vibes. I think people like when the whole thing the other day, which was Wednesday, when they were talking about Cavill being in negotiations, people were excited. Okay. People love his Superman and people love Ben Affleck's Batman. Okay. Regardless of what they feel about the movies, I think they really do. When it comes to Ezra Miller, I think there's a little bit, we need to see more of him. And I think the Snyder Cut will, in fact, help that out because we're going to see him really like do what he was supposed to do. Because obviously with all the stuff that Snyder has told us and everything about what Barry ends up doing, we didn't get to see that, of course, in the theatrical cut. We saw him fall on Wonder Woman's boobies. That's what we saw. But in actuality, he saves the day with running really, really fast and turning back time. If I can turn back time. Yeah. So I think it will. Definitely. I mean, I don't know if Cavill and Affleck need really redeeming. Ezra Miller, for sure, his Flash. But I think it's going to just really redeem Snyder, man. So anyways. So I appreciate the question. And thanks for the donation, bud. Appreciate it. You're awesome. Who's deleting tweets? I'm not even going to go there. What's going on, Nathan? Jose? Oh, yeah, I already said it. Cheers. Cheers, guys. Mike, what's going on? TGIF. Jeez. Tell you what. You're high already? Good for you. And I tell you what. I don't know what the hell's going on out there. I mean, we went from COVID to this now. Now everybody's been cooped up for 2 months, just waiting for something to happen. And something happened. Something really bad happened. And now, now there's just multiple cities out there. Minneapolis is getting hit the worst. I'm just kind of like seeing stuff on my feed. I'm just kind of tired of seeing it because, I mean, there's peaceful protesting happening, but there's also just big time rioting happening. And you got to wonder, like, what the fuck? Who's actually doing all the rioting and stuff? And who's actually doing the peaceful protesting? But good thing is that motherfucking piece of shit cop did get arrested for the murder, and I hope he fucking I hope he gets sent to the pen, and then somebody, some big black, like Michael, big black guy just freaking some Michael Clark looking motherfucker just like takes that guy out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I hope that's what happens to him in prison. Okay. Sorry. I got a little too crazy here, but I'm talking about, I want some Michael Clark Duncan guy to just fuck that guy up. Anyways, because of him, this shit is turned to that. And Amanda's here, guys. Yeah. There she is. That wasn't, no. I'm talking about, I want, you heard that. You heard that. You heard what I said. You want him to get, yeah, I kind of do. I think we all kind of do. Because we saw the video and the video was terrible. The video is terrible. But there's a lot of other things I can go through. So I don't really want to talk about this because it just, like I said, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, I want somebody to just handle that motherfucking guy's ass in prison. Please. Let's let that happen. Let him deal with that. Fuck. I know. I got to be careful. I kind of caught myself. I was like, oh shit. Finish your sentence, Dave. I'm too busy thinking and reading the stuff, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. But let's stuff's burning. They burned the building down. Yeah, I know. It's all crazy. I'm gonna relax. See, I got the vodka in me now. The vodka is flowing in me now. And I'm just, I don't know. I need to turn. I think I need to turn off some things on my timeline because it just pisses me off, especially when you see peaceful protesting happening, and that's all great and fine and dandy, and then you got like Antifa motherfuckers trying to start shit, and then you got other people that are starting shit that are coming from like out of town and burning places down and causing destruction. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's crazy. It's crazy. Let's talk movies. What he said. Let's talk. We're disconnecting. We're disconnecting from the world right now. I'm getting fucking wound up, and I don't like it because I don't like what I'm seeing, man. I just don't like what I'm seeing. All right. Anyways. Cheers, guys. I think I'm okay now. We're going to have a good show tonight. Like I said, we got Mario Robles on tonight. And I feel bad because he thought it was Eastern time. Yeah, we had like a little we had a little miscommunication when it came to for some reason I thought he was West Coast. I don't know why. I thought Mario was West Coast. But man, I was like, hey, there's Mama Film Junkie. She's here. Drink. I know. But yeah, I know. I'm relaxing, guys. It's just I had what's also been frustrating tonight too is like I have a video that I was trying to edit that I filmed tonight, about the Batman, because we still got to talk about the Batman, and my computer started going shitty again. So it's all been rebooted and just kind of like, okay, we're good. We should be good now. So hopefully there's no foul ups tonight. So that was frustrating, and then just seeing like the shit all over my timeline. It's got me a little riled up, man. Yes, cheers for George Floyd, okay? Let's raise our glasses for that guy. Let's hope he gets justice. So far, it looks like he is kind of getting justice. I hate all the other shit that's going along with it. That's all. Just hate it. And it's just pissing me off. So justice for Mr. Floyd. Because we all saw the video, and there's no getting away from that. So anyways, Andrew again. Hey, also, if Sony did after Spider-Verse, could they do a live-action Spider-Verse with Tobey? Yeah, I think they could, and I think they should. I don't know about you guys, but I think they should. I mean, when Sam Raimi got tapped to do Doctor Strange 2, a lot of people were thinking, well, why not have that? Why not have? I mean, if it's called the Multiverse, right? Or it's called something the Multiverse, whatever. It's got Multiverse in it. I can't remember. Multiverse of Madness or some shit like that. It sounds like a fucking theme park ride. I don't really like the title of Doctor Strange 2 because it sounds like a theme park ride to me. But I mean, I think a lot of people were. I even saw like a fan art that showed like all three, showed Garfield, Maguire, and Holland all together. But I mean, they could easily do that animated style too, though. So I guess we'll see what happens. Oh, you're more of a Scott Derrickson fan, huh? That's fine. I don't know. I mean, Sam Raimi is always going to hold a special place in my heart. The multiverse of yeah. Is that what it is? That's what it is, right? I don't even know. But no, it sounds like a theme park, right? It definitely does. But Scott Derrickson, I like him, but Raimi just holds a special place in my heart because Evil Dead is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's my favorite horror movie. So, yeah, Andrew Ballin, and thank you. Yeah, last week, yeah, everybody's great. Raimi's God. Hey, and Derrickson's great too. And yeah, thanks. Somebody was congratulating me about Ray Porter last week. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a last minute thing, guys. You guys don't even realize getting Ray Porter last week was a last minute thing because I saw him respond to something. He was part of a thread that we were both tagged in, and I thought, okay, here's the chance. Like I clicked on his name, and he doesn't have his DMs open, which I totally get that. I have my DMs open, but I totally get why he didn't have his DMs open. And then so then I was like, okay, well, let me just respond to him through this. So let me just respond to him. Oh, yeah, you did help, Nick. Like when you said that, I had it in the back of my head, Nick, and you DM and you thought about it. And I was like, yeah, that's probably, I was like, yeah, I should probably do that because I even thought about it. I was like, what if Ray Porter is going to start talking about shit? And then even that night, he was like, I'm Darkseid, guys. So it was like a perfect storm of like, okay, now's the chance to ask if that guy wants to come on the live stream. And sure enough, got him. Like as soon as I sent the message, he followed me. He followed me first, and I went, oh, and then all of a sudden he hit me up on the DMs, and I was like, there it is. So yeah, Nick, you helped because I had that in my brain. I thought about it before, but I didn't like think about it till like, and then all of a sudden you put it, it was in the back of my head. You pulled it into the front, to the frontal lobe of my head. Thanks for commenting on my shirt. Yeah, going Star Wars today. Yeah, I know. I probably should be. I need a new Superman shirt, to be honest. Hey, Matt Jarbo's here. Matt, if I'm just saying, if you're available in like a half an hour, I might I'm getting some people on a panel here after Mario and I talk for a little bit. So yeah, look out for it. I'll send you the link if you want to join the panel here. We're gonna have a few cats here, some of the familiar cats, but we'll get Mario in here in a little bit. Do a little. Oh, you're out doing deliveries right now, but I'm going to start heading home soon. Okay. Well, like I said, I'll send you the link, and you just click on it whenever. We'll probably be doing. I'm sure this is going to be another long one, because I always like talking to these guys. It's always a good time, and like I said, right now we just need it. I'm just so tired of looking at my feed. I love looking at all the positive movie stuff, but also I just got all the other shit that's in between it, and it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. So don't worry, Gob and I will do it. We're gonna do our thing. Don't worry. It's all about time zones. It's all about time zones. That's the thing. When we do it, I mean, like right now, he's probably still asleep. I think it's like early in the morning for him right now. So Jose, yeah. But that's why I love that guy. Okay. That's why I call him my not so silent Bob. I think I said that. I think I said that on Wednesday's show. I called him my not so silent Bob. But that's why I love talking to Steven, because he breaks it down. He breaks down everything. He's good with numbers, way better than me. He knows a lot of See, there he is. Just one more thing. That's right. Dude, we're going to make you a shirt, Steven. I'm telling you. Steven, we're going to make a shirt with that right there. Just one more thing, ... That's good. That's your new catchphrase. I'm just saying, Steven. You need a fucking trademark. We need to trademark that shit. And I love that. I love that. You know, that's why when I forgot his name, who made the art that one time when it had Fatal JU and Swenson, and he immediately caught like what we always say. You know, I always say what's happening. You know, Swenson with his dual personality in the hot dog and stuff like that. So, oh yeah, see, that's the thing. So can I. That's why me and him are friends. Because I love discussion. I love talking. Who's on like SB? Oh yeah. And so he's very much blogger speak like, oh yeah. Taylor. Okay, I don't know Taylor. I know Matt because I had him on the Sunday morning hangover. See, what's going on, Comic Brooks? You made it. All right, but yeah, don't worry. We'll have some film gob on here too. So don't worry about that. We'll get it. We'll get it. All right, send in the link. See when the guest gets here and everything. But seems like a scuttlebutt is that the reshoots. Don't believe it, Josh. Don't believe it. Fake news. Fake news. Didn't happen. I don't know who said that. Total fake news. Okay? Just don't even believe it. Not happening. Fake news. I know I should get Tyrone Magnus on here. Now reach out. Like I said, I mean, that's what I wanted to do, like with all this live stuff. It's just like reach out. I mean, the live shows Monday through Wednesday, it's mainly just going to be me talking about news. But Vodka streams, man, I'm all about like getting guests. Even like random guests. I mean, you know, I had what's her name? Zia Land. I mean, that was just somebody referred her to me. She was nice enough to be like, let's do it. And she was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a really good conversation. I mean, I love just talking to people who are not also like within this world. That's why that was a lot of fun. You know, it was a lot of fun. What's up, Ken? Boop. Oh, where's Casual Batman? He's still out there fighting crime. Dave, are we looking at a massive bad rating JL since the time it's personal? I think some of the check marks are going to not be too kind with it, but what can you do? What can you do? You know? All right, guys. I think we're ready for my guest here. Are you guys ready for him? Let me get some things set up here. Let's get to know. All right. And and it's really late over there, and I know like he had to like get a cup of coffee in him just to make it to the show, which we'll talk about. We got a lot of things we'll talk about. But anyways, guys. All right, we got our guest. All right, he's here. Mr. Mario. What's going on?
How you doing? I made it. I'm on 5 hours sleep and 2 cups of coffee, but it's going to be worth it. And I hope you don't mind. I'm not a vodka guy. I'm a whiskey guy. So
there's no problem with that. Hey, sometimes I have a whiskey stream. Don't worry.
Wow. All right. Let me know when that one's coming.
I think it's just because when I started this thing, I was just really on a vodka kick. And then somebody kind of gave me the idea, like, you should just call it the vodka stream. And I was like, that's a good idea. So it turned into the vodka stream, but I'm a whiskey man too. So cheers, brother.
Man. Cheers. Yeah. There's lots to cheers too lately, right?
There really is. So how you doing, man? I mean, first off, I'd like to apologize. I don't know why I thought you were on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Something in my brain. And then we were DMing and you're like, oh, wait, we're not going on.
Yeah. I'm like, are you trying to say we're not starting right now? I was down here 3 hours ago. I'm like, oh, okay.
Whoops. I know. I was like, oh, why did I think you were on the West Coast? Yeah. I don't know what got in my brain. I apologize for that, but I'm glad that you got that cup of coffee in you.
Yeah.
And you're here talking. So, but before we get into all the nitty gritty of stuff that's happened, all the excitement, I kind of want to get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
Here,
we've never actually spoken, really.
We never have. We never have. So you're located in New York, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did you were you raised
there? Born and raised here in New York. And believe it or not, my mom's last name is Peña, so it's similar to yours. So whenever I saw Davy Pena, I'm like, so does yours have an N yet, or is it just an N?
It does. It has the Enya on it.
So you're Davey Peña.
I'm Peña.
And where's your y de dónde es tu familia? Where's your family from?
my family. I am Mexican. You know, it's a Mexican side.
Nice.
So yeah, of course. But you know, of course, that's my dad's side, and we're all here. We're all in California.
Yeah,
most of us and everything. But and then of course I have the white side of my. You know, what's funny? I always joke about it because I always say like my Mexican side is so whitewashed because when we all hang out, it's all very like we don't drink a lot or anything. The Coronas aren't flowing. Sometimes, you know, little drinks here and there. But my white side, man, drinkers like crazy. I tell you what. But yeah, I'm definitely a Peña. I'm a Peña. I mean, my Spanish is not so great. I wish it was better. But
gotcha.
Yeah, I wish it was totally a lot.
So
better.
That's why it's not a tequila stream.
No, that's why it's not a tequila stream. Gotcha. That's why it's a vodka stream. You got me right there. But so okay, so you're in, okay. And one thing I wanted to like talk about is wedding DJ stuff. Yeah. So you still do that right now, right?
Oh yeah, that's been my career nonstop for the last 17 years.
Now the reason why I wanted to talk to you about that was because I used to film weddings.
Really?
I used to film weddings, so we kind of have this little connection here because I probably filmed about 7 or 8 weddings in my lifetime. Okay. So I'm kind of familiar with all that stuff. Yeah. DJ, I've talked to the DJs and stuff. So you turn it into an actual career, huh?
Yeah, it's the only job I've needed for 17 years now. Every week I get to go out and I get paid to be the life of the party. I mean, not right now with what's going on. I'm basically unemployed now. The pandemic really just completely sapped all the fun out of my industry. So God knows when I'm going to get to do a party again. Right now, everything has been rescheduled through like the middle of July. So fingers crossed I get to work in about 2 months. But for now, I've been kind of making do. I've been doing these porch parties in front of my house that actually got on the news because
you were on the news. Yeah,
it was kind of out of the blue. But honestly, it's just out of boredom. There's nothing to do when you're a DJ and there's no parties. What do you do? You know. Okay. So I have this garage. I'm in the garage right now, but I have this whole garage full of gear. And I'm like, I want to play music and do something. I'm bored. So I started playing music at 6:30 every night because at 7 o'clock we cheer for the first responders. Do they do that on the West Side? On the West Coast?
They've done that here. Yeah.
Okay. So so we do that around here. So I kind of do it almost as like a pep rally, a half hour of like music, and then at 7 o'clock we cheer, and that's about it. But yeah, so DJing has been my thing for close to 20 years now. It's not a bad gig.
That's pretty crazy. How did you get started in all that?
I kind of just fell into it, honestly. A buddy of mine was working as a roadie for a DJ company, and I was hanging out with him one night, and he's like, hey, I have to go pick up a check. You want to come with me? And while I'm at the office there picking up the check, the boss started poking me around for questions because he found that I was an actor. And he's like, oh, so you're not shy. You're cool with just going out there and doing stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. I was 19. I'm like, sure, whatever. I'll take whatever work. And then he gave me a red Power Ranger costume and a SpongeBob costume. And on my first weekend, I was out doing like character appearances at birthday parties. It's really random, but that's how I started. And then from there, it segued into being a master of ceremonies and being a DJ. But yeah, so it's I just kind of fell into it just by going to the office to pick up a check with a friend of mine 17 years ago, and now here I am.
It's crazy how stuff like that works, you know.
You just fall into stuff,
yeah, exactly. You just fall in it. I mean, when it came to me filming weddings, I mean, it started with just because I just did video stuff and I did little stupid short videos of my friends, and all of a sudden, I think the first one I did was my friend's brother was getting married. And they didn't want to like spend all this money on a videographer, you know. And I was like, I'll do it for a fraction.
Free booze.
No. Yeah, exactly. That. Yeah. You feed me, you give me booze, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I just kind of fell into it. And I mean, I got into it for a bit, and I had my own like style and the way that I did it. But I mean, after a while, it just got to a point where I was just I felt like it when it comes to weddings, I mean, it's got the same beats. Every wedding, pretty much the same beats. Yeah. So I know what to film. I know what to do. I mean, of course, there was like different circumstances with each time, and it can be a lot of fun. I mean, especially of course the whatchamacallit, the after party. What do they call that? Right? Not the ceremony, but the
reception.
The reception.
The cocktail hour. Yeah.
I almost did recital. I don't know why. I almost had it.
Welcome to the recital, ladies.
The recital, the wedding recital. But So I just had that similar style, but then it got to a point where sometimes I get a little bit of the bridezilla that would happen when they'd want to like make changes
and like micromanage everything. Yeah.
Yes. And there's just like, what do you want me to do? I mean, this is the style that I do it in. I mean, I would always be like, I would always even coordinate with the DJs because I knew they knew the songs that were needed to be picked. Like, what's the first dance? What's their song? And I would always try to incorporate that within the video.
Very wise man.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you always want to have that kind of stuff. And I always just had like that. I always had it outline like chapters, I'd have like little like act 1 or act 2 just to kind of make it kind of fancy. But after a while, I was just like, You
were over it.
I was kind of over it. And then, with everything else, like the YouTube thing and a day job, it's just, I mean, it was a lot of fun, but I mean, it was specifically hard when I would do it by myself. I would always try to get somebody to do it with me, but try to do that by yourself, to have multiple cameras going, pain in the ass,
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like when you're doing the DJ, you're probably seeing the videographers and the photographers fight. They're always fighting each other.
You're blocking my shot. What are you doing?
You don't even know. It's like I'm trying to get a shot, and all of a sudden you see guys, and I'm like, I get it, but I'm like, oh man, I had a good shot. Now all of a sudden you just
oh man, I have videographer friends who post their horror story video clips of like, here's the shot I had, and you see the bride start coming down the aisle, and it's like beautiful. People in the crowd are ready to cry. Here's the most dramatic thing ever, and then here's the back of this photographer. So it's just those wars between them are real.
Oh, it's pretty funny. Like I try not to get crazy with it, because I know that they need to get that good shot, and I'm continuous. So I get it. And I could do edits if I need to. Yeah. But sometimes, man, they are just like, they just swoop in and just and they're just like, whoa, what just happened? You guys are like ninjas.
Yeah.
It's a science, dude. It's a science. So so you're also you also contribute to Revenge of the Fans.
Yes, I was the co-founder of Revenge of the Fans. Nowadays, that's pretty much like a thing of the past. Nowadays, my only real geek outlet that I allow myself is the Fanboy Podcast. Everything else was just taking up too much of my time. Because I have a lot of different plates I'm spinning at any given moment.
Yep.
And Revenge of the Fans just became this thing that was taking up so much of my time and putting so little in my pocket that I kind of had to make a tough decision about, like, unless I can get someone who's going to help me run the business end of this, so I could focus on doing podcasts and making content, doing what I'm good at, I kind of can't do it. And since I couldn't find that person to be that other, the business end of things, I kind of had to just let it go. So it's still there. You can go to revengeofthefans.com, and it basically almost serves as like an archive. It's got everything, all our old news reports, our old editorials, everything's there, but it's not really getting updated with daily content anymore. Right now we have a few podcasts that post their articles there to kind of help promote them and that sort of thing. But for better or worse, Revenge of the Fans is kind of in the rearview mirror now. But yes, the Fanboy Podcast is back. And I returned from a long hiatus last week. I put up an episode last week. I put up another one this morning. So I'm kind of back in a groove there. So that feels good.
And now you're on the Vodka stream. Look at you.
And now I'm on the Vodka stream.
On the Vodka stream.
Hell yeah.
No, I mean, I feel you, man. I mean, real life can really just get in the way when you want to do something like this. I mean, I find myself struggling with that too constantly. It's a constant struggle to try to balance it all. And you have a family. I mean, you have a full-on family.
Yes.
I can only imagine. I don't have a family. It's just me, and I'm still just like, I'm still just like you said, balancing.
Yeah, I got a wife. I got 2 small kids who are 6 and 9 years old who require a lot of attention and care. So trying to find the time to run a full, stream like news website and keeping everything up to date and doing all the work that goes into that, it was just a little more than I was kind of able to do anymore.
Yeah, it could get pretty overwhelming, and then it could get frustrating too at the same time, because it's like big news happens and you're like, oh, it's got to get up on the site, but you can't quite get there,
I know. Yeah. It's, there's a lot of pressure involved to do it right.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said, "We're your family, Dave." Yes, you guys are. You guys are all every time. And, in Mario can even, respond to this too. It's like, I always say to anybody that's going to be on here, I'm like, I talk to the kiddies the kiddies, as in, the kids in the live chat for about 15 minutes before I bring on the guests.
Yeah.
So yes, you guys are my family.
And
but
I was watching the whole. I saw you from the beginning, so I've been kind of I've been watching you interact.
Everybody loves your shirt right now, and I guess that's like the big topic. I mean, that's why I put it in the thumbnail right here.
Yeah,
of course, I covered Cavill's pretty face with my cartoon big head. I have to do that because it's my stream. I can do what I want to, but
damn right.
But what the hell, man? Look where we are now. Can you believe what's happening?
I mean. Yeah, look where we are now. I was talking about this on the latest episode of my show where it's like, if you would have asked me like 10 days ago, if any of the things that have happened in the last 10 days would have happened, I would have laughed at you. Yeah. 10 days ago, we're going to get the Snyder Cut. The Ayer Cut looks like a possibility. Man of Steel 2 seems to be in the air. And now the term DCEU is like officially adopted and accepted, as opposed to being this thing that we would just talk about on Twitter and bicker about. Now the DCU is like legit. So like how many things have changed in just like 11 days, 10 days? It's insane.
It's crazy because I mean, talk about a time like when everything was like, when things were starting to happen with, some of the haters out there, like, at the beginning of the month or like last month, which we won't name names and everything, but, I really just, and I put out a video that I wasn't proud of, and I got into it with one of those guys. And then I was like, I'm going to pull the video because I thought it was like distasteful with some of the things, and I just was not proud of it. And I kind of like internalized, and I was like, okay, for some reason, I just was like, I guess, I don't know, maybe I just felt it. I was like, in talking to even just other people, I'm like, something has to happen. Something is in the air. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing more live stuff now because I enjoy doing this stuff. I enjoy talking with people, new people, just having a discussion. And we'll get more people in here in a little bit too, to get more of a panel, which always is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But, just talking with people, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start doing more live things. And then sure enough, like a week or like maybe 2 weeks after, all of a sudden it just catches wind that, whoa, this thing's going to happen. Zack Snyder's Justice League is going to happen. I mean, as soon as Umberto, like Heroic Hollywood, when he started catching wind of it, it just started blowing up. And then I started reaching out, and they're like, yes, Wednesday's the day. And
yeah.
I mean, it's almost surreal after 2.5 years. And I know you've gone back and forth, and you've had your fair share of hate thrown at you.
Yeah.
We've all been there. Don't worry. I mean, even if you know what I hate about it too is like, I hate it when people like start throwing out screenshots from like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Don't you hate that?
Oh my God.
Because it's like
how much happens in 3 years? Yeah, a lot. So many things. People grow. People learn new things. People, there's so much can happen even in just 1 year. Yes. And then when people throw something at me that I said in 2017, it's like, come on. And especially like, and let's just say it specifically too. In 2017, right around the time Justice League came out, it was indeed a pipe dream that they would ever release the Snyder Cut. Yeah. I was never one of those guys who denied it existed. I always knew it existed. It was pretty like, black and white that he aired some sort of cut of his movie to the studio, which is what led to everything that happened afterwards. So I've never been one of those guys who like, it doesn't exist. But at one point I was one of those guys who was like, it's never going to happen because at the time in that given context, there was no way it's going to happen, but people like to cling to that. Ooh, on November 23rd, 2017, you said it wouldn't happen. So now, it's just ridiculous.
It's crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was times where I was like, is this thing ever going to happen? And I would even say like, I was always like one of those people, like when if I was recording a podcast or on a stream, I was always like, who knows when it's going to happen, guys? Just keep the hope up.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily I had somebody that was, my messenger to Snyder. So I got like things, like little extra things where it was just awesome. Like, yeah, I know. I mean, it was just, I've said it before, where it's just this guy reached out and I vetted him for like a month because I thought it was some MCU fanboy that was just like fucking with me. I'm like,
yeah, you got to be careful. Real. I know.
Yeah, you have to do that. You have to vet. If somebody's reaching out to you, giving out information, you need to vet. Mm-hmm. And after like a month, and he proved to me that, oh, it's legit, I was like, okay, this guy's legit. Now I got to start really asking the questions. So, and just with everything. I mean, look at that. I mean, you saw the comic book debate video thing, or at least Snyder's part of that video.
Yeah.
See the message?
Yeah.
I mean, he even said it himself. Like, he thought this thing was just going to go away.
I know.
But as soon as he saw the fan base and
Yeah.
as soon as I think he did a little things behind the scenes too. I think a little bit. I think he like reached out. I'm wondering if even the source that I have that is linked to him.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if like he like said, hey, start reaching out to some of these guys. I don't know.
Well, I do think he definitely sort of gamed the conversation a little bit.
He's
you know what I mean? Man. He kind of like by implying that it was more complete than perhaps it is.
Yeah.
He kind of helped will this thing across the finish line, which listen, whatever it takes, I'm not faulting him for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I feel like he definitely, led on. He played very heavily that it's basically ready to go. And of course, now we find out from the HBO Max, there have been people on podcasts this past week talking about it, saying that, well, it's going to require a ton of money to actually finish because what we want this to be doesn't actually exist yet. He still has to create it. So, you know what I mean? So, and people have brought up like, well, a year ago, he said it's absolutely just ready to go and just done and sitting there. So I think there was definitely a little bit of gamesmanship. He kind of had to convince people that it's right there and ready to go. And now we're learning that maybe wasn't necessarily true, but you know what? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because it's going to come out next year and so many amazing things could come from it. So I don't care what he had to say to make it happen. I'm just glad
the future's bright. Yeah. And that's the thing is like when that was all happening and then I was, I'm still over here, and some of my fellow compatriots were like, yeah, but it's not completely done, guys. And then people would just, of course, send the hate over to us. But I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe we shouldn't just like fully be like, it's not done. I mean, I try not to be like that. I tried not to be like that as much as possible. I was just trying to relay information like, guys, there's still going to be some work that needs to be done. Like, yes, there is a cut from start to finish, 3 hours and 34 minutes that he has, but the VFX and the music is just, the score is just not going to be there, but it's something that he can have to if he needs to screen for Warner Brothers or Warner Media, and that's exactly what happened. And that we caught wind of that he had a screening for those guys, AT&T and the HBO Max guys, and now look what happened. Now they're just like shoving like stacks of money over to him, like finish it. Everybody wants to see this thing, and it's going to even be better than what he actually was.
That's what I think too. Yep. Yeah. It's going to be way better than he had originally envisioned because now there are no shackles. There's no time restraints.
Nope.
He's seemingly being given a ton of money to do it, which, by the way, that's why I think it's funny when people are like, no, there's not going to be any actual reshoots. I'm like, with this kind of budget, he's going to be filming some stuff. You know what I mean? So
it's not going to be anything drastic.
No.
But I mean, he already talked about how he wanted to do the Martian Manhunter stuff, for instance.
Absolutely.
And I mean, of course, that would have been a nice surprise to see, but the fact that he put that out there because I mean, he's a smart man. I mean, I still think there's going to be many surprises we're going to see in his whether it's broken up into a mini series or it's like a full 4-hour plus thing that we see. I think there's still going to be many surprises. It doesn't matter. I mean, the Martian Manhunter thing, when he dropped that, I mean, the internet just kind of blew up. Like, really, we were going to see Martian Manhunter in this thing? I mean, God knows what else we're going to see. And he might film something extra that wasn't originally intended, but maybe it was an idea. Who knows?
My theory is because it's some of the wording in the THR report that came out last week that he was a part of, that had quotes from Deborah and Zach. Some of like the wording in that made me kind of look at it this way. It seemed like he was asked to look through all the footage and see what he could create from that, right? And I feel like he's written some additional stuff and there's going to be some more reshoots. But what I feel like what he's trying to do is he's finding ways to take what's there and enhance it. And to add cliffhangers and to make it feel more like a different, like to adapt it to a TV thing. Because I really think the chance of this being 1 4-hour movie is very nil.
Yeah.
If you ask me, HBO Max sees dollar signs in turning this into something that is like 2 months worth of content or 6 weeks worth of content where it's 1 new episode a week, you know? So I get the sense he looked at everything and he figured, how can I reconstitute this footage? What can I add to make it feel more like TV episodes and leave a cliffhanger so people now want to look forward to next week and so on and so forth. And I think you're right. He's not going to get to do anything exorbitant.
Yeah,
but he's not going to get Ben Affleck back, you know, for example, and he's probably not going to get Gal Gadot. Oh, you think he's? I
think Ben Affleck would come back. I think he would.
I mean, that would be cool.
I think because the reason why I say that is because Ben Affleck. I mean, he's said many times how much he loves Snyder. Yeah. I mean, he's the reason. Snyder's the reason why Ben Affleck joined. I mean, you know, and the fact that every movie that he's been involved with, BVS, Suicide Squad, and Justice League, has all been dicked with by the studio. I mean, luckily, the ultimate cut came out for BVS, and it was pretty much, I mean, that was almost 100% what Snyder wanted.
Yeah.
And then Suicide Squad, we know about that. And then, but of course, he was just cameo in there. I think everything that Ben shot was in the movie, essentially. But then Justice League was like a whole different thing. And Ben Affleck was just, he was fed up. He was done.
Oh, you could tell. He was sleepwalking through that. All those reshoots.
He phoned in those. Yeah.
He didn't care anymore. He's like, I'm not even going to try to lose enough weight to fit into this suit anymore. He's like, listen, if you're going to make me do this, you're going to deal with me the way I am right now, and that's it.
But the fact that, like, after not talking to Kevin Smith for almost a decade, and Kevin reaching out to him to do Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and Ben just going, okay, and flying out to Nashville for like 3 days to shoot that scene. And originally he wasn't even going to be playing his original character.
Yeah.
Like Kevin had him, he was going to play Cockknocker because Mark Hamill couldn't do it. But then everybody's like, Kevin, come on, have him play Holden McNeil. Come on, you got to have him play Holden McNeil. And then he wrote out this beautiful, my favorite scene of the whole movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a beautiful
I haven't
monologue.
Seen it yet.
You should really watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful monologue that Kevin Smith gave Ben Affleck to say. And the fact that he just flew out there for like, you know, 3-4 days just to do that for a director friend. I could see him if Snyder needs something, even if it's just Bruce Wayne stuff, you know, I could see Ben Affleck doing something and going out, you know, and he's in good shape right now. He looks
crazy.
Yeah, he looks great. Crazy. If he puts on that bat suit, he doesn't need to get all like super ripped like he did in BVS. He doesn't. No. I mean, I mean, let's face it. The montage. I mean, that's when he was at his fittest. I mean, that's what actors do. Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, listen. He almost turned me during that montage, so it is what it is.
Yeah, a little bit. You're like, damn, look at you, Ben Jakes.
Yeah.
Man, tell you what, you're not just a chin.
But you know, and that's the thing though about Ben. Like, to me, that's the biggest frustration about everything that's happened since 2017.
Yeah.
Because as much as I'm a Superman guy, I do feel like we got a chance to see Henry do some amazing things in Man of Steel. We really got a sense for his Clark Kent and his Superman. That's why for me, the big regret is Ben Affleck. The fact that we never got to see that solo Batman movie with him. We never got to see, you know, the promise lived up to of him and Jeremy Irons as Alfred, all that great chemistry they have. You know, I spent BVS looking forward to what the Batman will be one day, because like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing when this is just these two and they're the star of the movie. And the fact that that's just gone, and the fact that, you know, Affleck right now, as of this moment. By the way, the whiskey's definitely starting to hit, so I'm sorry if I
that's
stutter.
Totally fine. The vodka is hitting me too.
As of this moment, all we've been given are teases of what Batfleck can be. You know, we saw him in a movie in BVS where, yes, he was a big part of it, but he was still, there was a lot going on in BVS.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in Suicide Squad, he has that small but effective extended cameo. And then Justice League, I mean, listen, the theatrical cut is what it is. It's a big, bloated, slept through mess. So all we got were these little tiny snippets of what his Batman could be one day.
Exactly.
And we never actually got his Batman movie. So that's why, like, if he actually does come back, if there's a way to get him back, to me, that would be almost one of the biggest victories that there is, to finally get to see it, you know?
I mean, from what the report, the rumor that AT&T wants him back, I don't doubt that. And with everything that's happening, I mean, they are pushing Zack Snyder's Justice League like crazy. So why wouldn't they? They have a Batman script that they could turn into a series too, probably. You know, have a little mini series of the Batman.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I said. I've been doing lots of podcasts this week. I was on the Batman on Film one earlier.
Yeah.
But I mentioned on that one also that, like, HBO has a track record of attracting guys like Affleck, of going for A-list stars and getting them to do TV series. You know, it goes back over 30 years. They kind of pioneered that whole idea of, like, let's bring Hollywood level production value to TV. HBO's always been on the forefront of that. And they've always gotten these huge names. So to me, it would not be uncharacteristic or out of the question to if they were to offer him like a mini series of some kind, even like an 8-episode arc, just to do his Batman story, you know, because I bring up like True Detective, where they got Matthew McConaughey and they got Woody Harrelson, they got all this like amazing talent to do it. You know, it would be pretty damn sick to get Ben Affleck's Batman his own HBO Max series, and I feel like, wouldn't you guys love that? Wouldn't you love to see it?
Everybody in the live
all the kiddies,
of course, all the kiddies out there would love that. No, but I mean, like, you know, when everything was happening with his Batman script, and, you know, he was co-writing, directing, producing, and starring. It was like, okay, Ben, if you feel you could do it, do it. But as soon as he was like, okay, he's not going to direct it, I actually was like, okay, that actually makes sense, because I can't imagine being in like a 30-pound Batman suit and doing a scene and then having to like walk into the monitor to make sure it looked good. I mean, my God, that could really be taxing on the body.
Indeed.
Right, I actually wanted to bring up Andrew's little question here.
Yeah.
Snyder Cut and Ayer Cut coming around. Could it affect the future of DC movies? Robert Pattinson, Batman, Black Adam, Shazam 2, Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman. Well, what do you think about that? It's not going to affect Matt Reeves, Batman. That's a whole other thing. But Black Adam, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think Superman's going to show up in Black Adam? I
mean, of all the available options to me for where Henry can show up, it's got to be in that little Shazam pocket universe. You know what I mean? It's got to be either in Shazam 2 or in Black Adam. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be both.
Yeah.
But to answer the gentleman's question about the Snyder Cut and the Ayer Cut, what was it? Is there any way to bring it back?
Oh, no, I can't find it.
Okay, well, it's gone forever.
Yeah, it probably is.
But all right, I was trying. There was a way I was going to tie this all in, but that was before the whiskey and the 5 hours.
Yeah, no, I think
it was a good question.
It was a good question. You were saying like affecting any of the movies that are in production right now.
Oh,
like
well,
Woman 84.
I kind of have a feeling that one of the like sort of like in the fine print of this agreement, they're like, Zach, we're going to let you do whatever you want to do with this, but you can't do anything that's going to contradict what we have happening on the big screen. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, we know no matter what's going on with his, you know, his overall cut of Justice League, it's going to end with the shirt rip and the optimistic Superman being back. So they have the ability to use him in smaller appearances in other films. And I feel like that's the case for everything. Like, they're not going to allow anything in those that's going to like make it harder for them to make the movies they want to make, or that's going to make the James Gunn movie suddenly like, you know, irrelevant or obsolete in a way. So I'm sure there are certain restrictions with the Snyder Cut and the Ayer Cut that please don't let this trample the stuff we have coming.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it ends with the way we need them to be, you know, do whatever you got to do. You know?
Yeah. And then Andrew also asked, like, Batfleck versus Deathstroke, why didn't we get that? Well, hopefully we can get that.
Yeah.
We're hoping for that. But when it comes to Henry Cavill and Superman, What are your thoughts on that? Are you hearing anything? Are you
I
reaching
mean,
out to sources?
nah.
I know source saying you have a source is like a 4-letter word now. Like,
Yeah,
you've got a source.
honestly, right now, ever since I've kind of like dipped my toe back into all this geeky fun stuff,
Yeah.
I'm really just trying to enjoy it as a fan.
Mm.
So the only sort of like people I'm talking to about it are like fellow writer friends who have way more invested in this than I do now, because they actually work for websites and they have like their skin. They've got skin in the game.
Yeah.
So I have some of my reporter friends that I pester via DMs, but I'm really trying to just enjoy this as a fan, so I don't really have any like sources on that end. But how do I feel about Henry Cavill possibly returning? I feel great about it, because honestly, even despite some of my my well-known gripes, if for anyone who follows me in my podcast and the columns I've written, despite some of my gripes with Man of Steel, I always saw the potential for what Henry could be. I always thought this guy was one of those rare guys who was born to play Superman. Yeah. And when I think about Man of Steel, there are a ton of positives in that I always looked forward to seeing more of later on.
Yeah.
I wanted more of that Hans Zimmer score. So I wanted to strangle Danny Elfman when he didn't bring any of that back for Justice League. I wanted more of that score. I wanted more of that mythic iconography that Snyder brought to it, and the great way that he depicted Krypton, and sort of like the importance and the gravitas that he brought to a lot of that. I was looking forward to seeing more of that kind of unfurled. So even despite my reservations, which almost entirely exist in the third act of that movie, I've always wanted to see more Henry as Superman. So for me, the prospect of this is huge. The idea of getting to see him back and getting to see him potentially make the definitive Superman that will once and for all make him, like cement his legacy as the Superman for this generation. That's huge for me, because I don't buy for a second, by the way, that it's just going to be cameos.
No,
I think it's cameos in the beginning.
Yes.
Until they can gauge whether or not there's an interest for him. And the second they see, oh, wow, people love this version of the character, homie's getting his own movie. I don't think there's any way he's just doing all this so he can, show up for 3 minutes in a couple different movies,
Yeah, like, I mean, the fact that when on Wednesday, when the news was happening that he's in talks, he trended. He was trending on Twitter, because people do, regardless. I mean, that's what's funny about, and I even said this at the beginning, like regardless of what people feel about the actual movies, because somebody asked, is the Snyder Cut going to be a redemption for Cavill Superman, Affleck's Batman, Ezra Miller's Flash? And I was like, well, it's going to be a redemption for Snyder mainly.
Yeah.
But because I didn't think that there was a need of a redemption for Affleck and Cavill, because people love them as those characters. Like, regardless of what some people thought about BVS, whether it's too dark, too that, Ben Affleck's Batman was great, and I've seen that time and time again.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Cavill as Superman, I mean, like you said, I mean, he just looks like he was born to play.
He was chiseled out of a stone to play Superman one day. And and speaking of being chiseled, did you see he was on his Instagram 20 hours ago? Yeah. Right? Posting that picture in front of the workout gear selling hello, old friend.
Yeah, I know.
To me, that tells me we're going to see him a lot sooner than some of the trades are acting. They're like, they're all saying it's going to be forever.
No. I think what's going to happen is, I think the first cameo is going to be Black Adam. I think that's going to happen because, I mean, we saw that image like a while ago with him and Dwayne Johnson sharing like some tequila drinks. They were I mean, they're both represented by Danny Garcia. So, I mean, and the fact that when he showed up to the Man of Steel stream, for Snyder stream, the first thing that popped in my head is like, oh, he got his deal. It's happening. Like, he got it. I kept hearing that he was in negotiations. They would either they fell through, it didn't happen. And then I was hearing things back and forth because, there's so many logistics that happen, with when JJ came aboard, there's logistics with that because like his wife was like totally big with the whole Time's Up movement stuff. And of course that helped oust Sujihara with stuff and just other things, cleaning house a little bit. And, the fact that JJ, he showed interest in doing a Superman film before. I mean, JJ test screened Henry Cavill and Flyby. I mean, they're friends. They know each other. They know that they want to do something. So I'm just like, it's all the pieces are just falling into place.
Well, speaking of pieces falling into place, did you hear about this thing with the writer of the Batman possibly pitching Superman?
No.
Okay. So the guy who wrote the Batman, I forget his name now, something Matt Tomlinson or Mattson. There's lots of like syllables and things in his name. Yeah. But the guy who wrote Batman recently posted like this long thread as he was watching Batman at 1 a.m. one night. And then and this is like two weeks ago. Yeah. And then the very next day, he posts that he's working on a pitch. Oh. And then that gets my mind working, because we know Warner Brothers likes to recycle writers. I mean, they even did it with Christina Hodson, who I don't know, like she wrote a Batgirl script, and they liked that so much that they had her write Birds of Prey, and they liked that so much that they had her take a pass at a Flash movie. So like Warner Brothers likes to be like, oh, you're good with these DC characters? Well, let's see your takes on all of them. So with the Batman writer, I think it's interesting because Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams have a working relationship. They work together on they work together on Alias or Felicity. They work together on Cloverfield. Yeah, like these guys know each other. So part of me pictures a scenario where Matt calls J.J. and he says, "Hey, if you're thinking of making Superman, you should you should talk to my writer because he's got good ideas." Because that writer, even separate of that thread, was asked by fans if he would write Superman. And he said he has a pitch in mind, that he has a Superman story he would love to tell. So it's very sort of intriguing, I guess, to think about the idea of the writer of the Batman possibly handling Superman and what that could mean for potential synergy. I don't know. Listen, there's lots of things up in the air with that, but I just find that very curious. Yeah, that the Batman writer might be writing a sequel to Man of Steel.
There's a lot of speculation that's happening right now, and I mean the future of it all. I mean, even Andrew's asking another question here and said, like, after CW Crisis on Infinite Earths, could they do a Brandon Routh Superman show on HBO Max? And a lot of people, when they saw him in the Kingdom Come suit, everybody was like, "Hey, give him a series. Why not?" And I don't know if it's going to happen. I didn't actually watch Crisis on Infinite Earths. I saw clips and stuff, but I didn't really like watch the whole thing. But I don't know if you did. But what did you think about all that? And what do you think about a possibility of maybe a Kingdom Come?
Well, I think Andrew. I think Andrew could potentially be very excited right now.
Yeah,
because Jim Lee was considered, like, there are a bunch of articles I saw where Jim Lee was the MVP.
Yes,
behind getting Ezra Miller into that crossover. And I've also heard that Jim Lee is the MVP for a lot of this HBO Max stuff that's coming on now. So what does that tell us? That tell us he likes the idea of the multiverse. He likes the idea of merging what's happening in the DCEU with what's happening in the Arrowverse and potentially, HBO Max. They included Stargirl. They included Doom Patrol. Like, there's a very wide scope for what DC storytelling can be nowadays. And Jim Lee seems to be all for it.
Oh,
so when I think about this, do I think Brandon Routh can get a show? Honestly, I think so.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit right now because Jim Lee really seems to be open to this idea that the multiverse gives us a million avenues to explore. So if the fans want it, let's explore. That's the sense I get from Lee's sort of leadership right now.
I know, I totally dig it. And that's why I was like, we got to thank Jim Lee. I mean, this guy is really, he's a Snyder fan, first off. He did a bunch of, storyboard art for him. And, I always said if they were ever if the Snyder Cut wasn't going to come out for like a live action thing, make it a graphic novel and have Jim do the freaking illustrations. The guy's a madman. But we got some other people coming in the panel. Mr. Scott Yellen, what's up? And Mr.
What's up?
How you doing, Scott? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Mario.
In a way, yeah.
What we got? Yeah, see, we got Batman and Superman. You know, I'm glad you wore your Batman. I should have probably wore my Batman, my shirt. But yeah, welcome, guys. Matt, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Here. How's it going, guys?
And then
hey, Matt.
Steven probably wore my Bat here.
Hey.
He's here.
None of us get to talk anymore. It happened.
Well, while we bring in other panel members, one of the kiddies in the live comment mentioned something that I kind of want to touch on, because they said, like, we don't want like the CW level of production value. Okay. But that we don't have to worry about that. These HBO Max series are going to have like movie style budgets, and
Kevin Riley was very clear about that.
Yeah,
yes, he was.
Yeah, he was like, I love it. He was very sort of passive aggressive. Like, Greg Berlanti is adorable. He does a lot of great things for the CW, but this won't be that. You know, so I love that. So anyone worried about like, oh, are these HBO shows going to look like Arrowverse shows? No, there's no chance. No. These are going to look like HBO series. They're going to look like Watchmen.
I'm a lot less concerned about the CW production value than I am about the CW writing.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Well, I mean, is Berlanti writing on any of this stuff?
No, he's just a producer. And I think, and I feel like Riley said that because when people hear Berlanti's name, they think Arrowverse, and they think that that's all that's going to happen. But Berlanti produces a ton of shows. I mean, my wife is hooked on that Sabrina show on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's not CW. I'm just saying it.
Quality, yeah.
That's true.
That's what I've heard. And then even like Danny right here said, well, Green Lantern and Zack Snyder would be the same Green Lantern in the HBO Max Green Lantern series. I don't think it will be. To me, it seems like anything that's in Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's going to be like different Earth, whatever sector. I don't know. It's going to be something different, because from what I'm gathering with the Green Lantern series, it's going to be its own thing that's going to tie into the Green Lantern Corps movie that we've been hearing Jeff Johns has been doing. I mean, that's just what I've been gathering. So I don't think it's going to tie in. And I say just bring Ryan Reynolds back. Why not?
Well, I get the sense that, that's kind of one of those things where unless it would be like a Stone Core production or something, I really get the sense that it's like, we're just going to let all these different production companies.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the beauty, because I did watch Crisis on Infinite Earths. And
I'm sorry to hear that. No, I'm kidding.
I started from Arrow from day one. I wasn't going to miss it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I fell off Arrow season 4 and Flash.
Oh, and that's the worst part, is that season 5 kicked ass. Yes. But you get to the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and you get that spoiler for something that's a year old at this point, but you get that birth of a new multiverse. And that's where I feel like Jim Lee really stepped in and was like, let's lean into the fact that we can have so many different versions of all of our characters at one time and just go with it.
Well, I think that's what Ezra Miller showing up really opened doors for. That's why everybody was freaking out about it. It was like, okay, now we can actually do something like this, because you have two Barry Allens that do not look the same, and you come up with whatever theory with all that you want to. But I thought that really
is blonde still.
I know exactly. It's funny.
What universe is the live action blonde Barry Allen?
Never had, even with the 90s like TV series, and all 3 live action Barry Allens have not been blonde. It's pretty funny.
By the way, I'm a little starstruck because I've been speaking to Stephen Colbert via DM for like 2 years.
Hey Mario,
and now there he is.
My camera is like freaking out.
Stephen Colbert from Screen Rant. How many countless DMs have we had about all these conversations, and now we're actually talking?
Many.
This is awesome.
Well, that's good. BVS helped help Thomas get stay in college and not drop out. And the Ultimate Edition would be incredible after first view. Never watched JL because well, don't worry, you're gonna watch the real JL next year. That's for damn sure. Mr. Jarbro, you've been kind of quiet. What's going on with you, man?
Not too much, man. Just listening to you guys talk. I don't really watch the CW shows. Once they sign that deal to go off of Hulu and go to Netflix, I just kind of I just tuned out, because that was part of my weekly watch schedule. And then now I'm like, I could sail the high seas of the internet to go get them. And then I'm like, but I got other crap to watch. And then I had kids. So like that just went away. Yeah. But no, I was actually unimpressed by the Ezra Miller cameo. I really was. Really? I saw it because it was blowing up Twitter, and I'm like, oh, okay. I just think it's like I want them to be two separate worlds. I want the CW stuff. I think works in some ways. In other ways, Berlanti needs to be taken out back and beaten with a shovel. Just because it's gotten so. It's so stretched, so thin. You can tell the budgets are already stretched incredibly thin, and they just keep adding content on top of it. And it just adds so much that the average person is going to start losing interest because it's so much to juggle, and then it keeps getting cheaper and cheaper looking. And I saw a bunch of clips out of The Crisis, and it just looked like really, really bad, like mid-90s television.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is the big deal. Like I was in LA for Skywalker. My friend was like, oh, you got to see these clips. He's got like an 80-inch TV in his house because it's LA. That's how this works.
Of course. Yeah.
And he's like pulling up Kingdom Come Superman clips. And I like Brandon Routh, obviously. I think Superman Returns is an underrated film.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. It took me 10 years to get there, but I got there.
Yeah.
But we're watching these clips and I'm just like, he's like all into it. I'm just like, dude, you need time to yourself to go beat off or something? Like, what the hell?
Wow.
I'm watching this, like, this just does nothing for me. It just does nothing for me. It's so cheaply done that it's all style and no substance. And that's kind of what's happened with these shows. And that's why I'm looking forward to maybe slowing things down a little bit, migrating them over to HBO Max, and taking that kind of more somber Netflix Defenders approach.
Yeah.
And because that, and Zack Snyder's Justice League is kind of like that, and people responded. I mean, they still talk about like Daredevil as being like the epitome of excellence in comic book television.
It really was.
And it still is. Season 2 is still by far like my favorite season of everything that's come out.
That's what's disappointing was Swamp Thing was amazing.
Yes, it was.
And then, but they canceled it. And the reasons that I've heard were like, oh, we want stuff that's more in line with the CW shows.
It's like, oh no. What I read about that
appeals to tween girls. That's what we really want.
Yeah. Well, what I read about that was really, it was a paperwork error is what fucked that show.
So that was, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I talked to, what state was it filming in?
It was North Carolina.
North Carolina. I did a lot of sleuthing on this one, and that was initially reported and kind of got spread around.
Yeah,
I talked to the North Carolina Film Board and people who were like the local film reporters that were there and who like knew everybody on the set, as well as like some people from the set.
Because you're an actual journalist, by the way, Steven.
Not a filthy YouTuber.
Yeah, he's a filthy blogger.
And
oh God, why am I here?
Not the bloggers, not the evil bloggers.
I don't know how specifically that rumor started, but because of the way that they do the grants, it was all like done ahead of time. So like they don't even start production until all that stuff is like confirmed. And then they don't even like start shooting until like the checks are signed out and stuff. So it would be obviously the question that I had was like, well, I'm talking to the film board that's responsible for signing out the checks. So are you just totally full of it and trying to cover your own ass and telling me like, no, that's not the problem. But like from everyone involved, like, no, if that was the issue, then we wouldn't have even started episode. We would have even built the sets if that was the case, because we needed that money that we got from the stimulus grant in order to get the sets even built, because they spent like $10 million on the pilot, and then that was supposed to be like residually distributed over the rest of the show, which is the insane part about canceling it, because they tore down. You talk to the crew members and like this set was like they built the whole swamp in like a 20,000 gallon pool in this thing, and then like they just didn't shoot the last 2 episodes, and I was like, well, maybe they'll hold on to the set and they'll find a way to finish it. Nope.
What's up with this? I mean, I'm asking just as a Joe Schmo. What's up with the CW revival of that? Are they getting a season 2? Or are they just going
to no. They need content to air. Yeah. All it is that CW, because one, their current seasons weren't able to finish. All their shows just stopped, and they like did a scene here, a scene there to turn the last episode filmed into a finale.
Here's a show right here.
And right now, the shows aren't coming back until right now it's January 2021. So what the CW has done is they've gone and purchased broadcast rights to Canadian series and British series, just so they have something to actually air.
They're not reviving the show. They're just re-air season one.
They're re-airing season one and having to do some edits because one, there was some close to R-rated material in some episodes, and two, they were 50-something minutes long, so they're going to have to cut it for time anyway to throw in commercial breaks.
Interesting. Okay.
My hope, though, is while it's not a revival, my hope is that a lot of people are going to get eyeballs on it now and get the attention that it needs. However, my fear is that they'll be like, oh, this proves that it should have been a CW show all along.
Oh, God. I hope
no.
I think
don't ever say that again.
It's kind of like, Harley Quinn going over to Sci-Fi.
Oh, God, I know. Why would you watch that?
Well, no, it's not unedited.
Oh,
it's all got all the F-bombs. I mean, Harley Quinn's a fantastic show.
I love it.
I love that show. And
I
so
just watched today's episode before I got on.
I've been behind by like 2 weeks. I got to play catch up.
It's getting hot between her and Ivy.
That's what I've been reading on the Twitter sphere.
I'll be right back.
It's a lot of pre-fat material. You know, like it's coming, and so are you. It's what's
awesome.
Oh boy,
I haven't been drinking, but like I get
you
really
are Nate. That's why you don't have your video on, right?
I fucking hate being on camera, man. Like that's all it boils down to.
Well, I'm glad you're
in the wrong profession.
You're naked, so just so you know.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm wearing pants. I am wearing pants.
Okay, at
That's
least
more than I'm wearing.
So there's that, but you know,
so he's wearing more than me. Anyways, I know I can't. Harley Quinn is great. Everything's great, but I liked Andrew's question. Like, well, he talked about how Michael Keaton coming back doing like a Batman Beyond like mini series. Would you guys be down for that if like there was like some crazy alternate, just a one-off Michael Keaton?
There's always so much context that's needed with that kind of thing too. Yeah. Like, yes, I would, and I'm going to assume if Michael Keaton is involved, like per the last conversation, that it's not a part of the CW.
No.
But because like that's like the fear is like, oh yeah, that conceptually that's great, but I've seen them take some great concepts and turn it into like not so great execution.
Yeah, I'm assuming the idea is at this point, any DC fan worth anything is pitching these shows hoping they'll be on HBO Max. No one's hoping, hey, can this be an Arrowverse show? They're all hoping it's going to be like Watchmen level. So everyone's hoping, can we get an epic looking version of any of these characters?
Well, and I think that
DC porns are better costumes than W. That's
I think
better acting too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, better outcomes. Pardon the pun. Anyway,
so you should have gone with bigger climaxes.
You're the teacher, Scott, and I'm the dumbass who just talks out of his ass. Yeah, that would have been a much better joke, Scott. Damn it! All right, go ahead, Steven. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say I agree with Jarbo on the issue with the Flash, the Ezra Miller Flash cameo in Crisis, where people were freaking out about it, and like I thought it was like as a part of the TV show, it was kind of cringe. It wasn't great. I didn't even watch the rest of the Crisis stuff, but I also agree on the clips that I saw.
They weren't in the same room. I thought they were both on they shot them both separate.
Well, the way it's one of those weird things with like you have them in the same room, have them touch. They shot it as if like it looks like a scene from Justice League where they're like where it's like they shot it like at different locations and put it together. Like if you're gonna be there, have them shake hands or do something like to prove. But to me, especially the fact that like Jim Lee pushed it, what's really, really cool about it is all of the implications. And I think that it didn't even get me interested in watching the show. It didn't get me excited for the Flash or anything. What got me excited was, to me, it felt like their way of just saying, look, different versions of the characters exist. Get over it. And it's kind of a signal that in the AT&T era, people are still, especially with like the Batman and Cavill Superman and kind of the way they wrap their head around the way DC works, is they're so stuck in this Warner Brothers only allows one character and one medium at a time. You're not going to have Batman on a TV show at the same time as you have him in a movie. And like, that's done. Like, we're done with that. And I think that was kind of what that signaled was, no, we're going to have two Flashes now. And not because, like, not necessarily in the same show. We're just using this opportunity to show you that, like, yeah, there's going to be two Batmans, there's
going to be 5 Bruce Waynes, actually.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. There's going to be, there's multiple Jokers. Like, stop trying to fit all of these universes into one. Just let them all exist as they were made. Yeah. Which, to me also, that's what opens the door for like the Snyder Cut or like for the Keaton idea that we're talking about. That's all possible because of this. So while the scene itself was, I don't think that great. I think the notion of, oh, hey, look, stop thinking about this as only one character in one place at a time.
And listen, I got to appreciate that, Steven, because if you look at the Crisis on Infinite Earths, you had Brandon Routh Superman in there, and he was specifically trying to be the extended version of the Christopher Reeve Superman, because they even referenced Superman 3 when he went crazy and fought himself.
Yeah.
So he was supposed to be the Reeve Superman. We have the Ezra Flash from the DCEU. We have the Tyler Hoechlin Superman from this. They were really just trying to consolidate every live action DC thing ever is now all connected through this interesting backdoor, through the multiverse. I think that was Jim Lee's ultimate sort of end game with all this, to just try to convey the idea that everything you've ever seen with these characters, none of it contradicts itself because it's all just on different Earths in different continuity. So every version of these characters you've ever loved, you can still love because they all still exist in some way.
And that ties right into, if you listen to the interviews that Scott Snyder's doing leading up to his death metal event in the comics, he keeps on talking about this sticky note that's on his computer that says it all counts.
Yeah, it all counts.
It all counts. And what you were just saying, Mario, is basically what Crisis did, in a on-screen medium was every iteration of all these characters, no matter what show you watched, no matter what show you loved, it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and and obviously I'm going to project my own kind of preference onto it also, but to me, it also felt very much like, well, the cameo was with the Flash. The message is like, it's okay that Henry Cavill doesn't have trunks. Like, we have a version that has trunks. Watch that one. Like, it's the one that doesn't wear the underwear on the outside, and that's okay. He's not taking anybody else. Like, Reeves still has his underwear. Like, if you want to see underwear on Superman, you can go see underwear on Superman if that's your thing.
It's all fair game. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, speaking of Scott Snyder, I mean, when Rebirth happened, and every character was getting their Rebirth series. I mean, he did his own All-Star Batman. I don't know if you guys read it, but it was
all of it
fantastic. All-Star Batman, the first one that Snyder did when it had Two-Face, he had to basically escort Two-Face across whatever, and all these villains were going around. And then there was a backstory between Bruce and Harvey that never really has been tapped into. And I'm like, God damn it, I want to see that in live action. It was a great story. It was almost like Logan-esque, or
like Mad Max.
Mad Max, almost.
Mad Max-esque. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you had all kinds of villains just going after him, and then
the art was so gritty too. It was
John Romita Jr.
You have to make the rated
of course. Okay, yeah,
action. It's great. And then somebody, Andrew, again, spoilers. If you haven't seen Batwoman finale, what are your thoughts on Warren Christie being Bruce Wayne? There was another Bruce Wayne. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, he showed up in the finale. I haven't watched it yet. I just know that he shows up. So there's a fifth Bruce Wayne now on Batman.
Can I ask a question on that? That might be a huge spoiler.
Go for it. I don't plan on watching
it. Well, Scott, you said you haven't watched it yet. Are you going to be mad if I ask a question that might be a spoiler?
It's already my own network spoiled it for me.
So plug your ears if you don't want spoilers for Batwoman. Is that actually Bruce Wayne, or is that Hush with Bruce Wayne's face?
Ooh, Tom, what's his name?
I heard. Okay, another spoiler. I've heard what happened is that that in this universe, Batman actually killed the Joker.
Yes.
So Batman kills again. How dare they? Jeez, what's up with Batman killing everybody in all these multiverses? Jeez,
apparently somebody woke the fuck up.
Okay, so Ray says no, it is not and Andrew says it's Hush.
It's
so
Hush.
Okay.
So find out in the next season of Batwoman for everyone.
Yeah, we're Batwoman
hanging on the edge of their seat. Yeah.
Jeez, yeah. I'm wondering about what they're gonna do with all that because I didn't even watch Batwoman. It just didn't catch my interest. But I mean,
I'd be so into a Batwoman like movie with like a John Wick budget, but not a CW Batwoman.
No, I want something that would be like the Greg Rucka series. But when she was in Detective Comics after 52, or the G.H. Williams New 52, like those series was like, this is good stuff.
Yeah. Make her a detective. Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do with that, who they're gonna cast or whatever. I mean, it was just kind of like random, like, oh yeah, Ruby Rose, she just walks away, and I'm like, okay.
Well, didn't they say today that they I was seeing some headlines that were saying that they removed her from the 2021 promo on CW? They already scrubbed Ruby Rose.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I guess like the whole thing behind it was she didn't know the grueling schedule that she was gonna have or something like that. Was that the whole story behind that?
Right. I think that's what I heard too, that it was just way more work than she was anticipating.
What were you expecting? I mean, you're gonna play a character in all these like random fucking Jason Statham, Vin Diesel movies, like these action movies? You're just gonna play a character that's like, oh, I'm so badass that I gotta like sit like this. I gotta sit with my knees up and be all cool. It's like, what else did you want? You were Batwoman, for fuck's sake. I mean, I know she got hurt. I should probably mention that she did.
Yeah, she was injured in the line of work.
Well, who was it? Someone quoted the Bane thing. They're like, oh, they need the Bane to say. I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your back. And I was like, well, her back broke first.
Well, to be fair, nobody cared who she was until she put on the mask.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, from what little of her I saw during the Crisis on Infinite Earths, because that's the only bit of her I've gotten to see. Mm-hmm. I was not terribly impressed, so I'm not that worried about the state of the show.
She was upstaged by the Rachel Skarsten who plays Alice. She was the interesting part. But Ruby Rose has been like, as Dave pointed out, is like she was a non-speaking role in John Wick 2.
Yeah.
And I watched her for several seasons in Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That's where she came to be, and everybody was like freaking out, and everybody was like confused of why, they were feeling tingliness in their genitals. They're like, wait, guys and girls are both attracted to her. Why am I feeling like this? And
listen, there's definitely there's an attractiveness to her. She has a charisma.
Yeah.
But when she was delivering lines as this character, I'm like, this is not really an actress. This is not, this is not fully formed. So I'm not terribly I'm not sad that she left. But then again, I also didn't watch the show. So
people who watch the show aren't sad that she left. A lot of, I mean, Brent and Ray, and Brent, I know Mario. Brent was familiar with you very much over at Fans Without Borders, and he used to be on DC TV Squadcast. He loves the CW, and even in their discussions about her leaving, they were like, we liked other people in the show a lot more.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's good to know. That's good to know that apparently she won't be missed. But also, like, if you're the CW or if you're these people, I was just thinking about them, like, I'm like their angle in all this. It's gotta suck to feel like now for season 2 of this show, we went out on a limb, we hired this person, there was all this controversy, and now they just left us. If you're the CW, I mean, they're in a very tough situation right now. And I think ultimately they'll get someone who's hopefully better equipped as a performer to handle the rigors of the role. But if you're the network, it's like, wow, they put a lot of chips in her corner. There was a lot banking on her making this work. And then, yes, the show gets approved for another season, and then she just abandoned ship in between them. I mean, she put the network in a tough spot, and I thought about that angle earlier today. I don't know if anyone else is kind of thinking about it that way.
Well, yeah, and you also notice there hasn't been like all these boohoo interviews of the cast members talking about how much they're going to miss her, because I've also heard that she didn't enjoy being there, and it was known and the feeling was mutual, and and you get the sense that nobody's singing a sad little violin about the fact that she's not on the show anymore.
Yeah. Do any of you have like if you had to just recast it right now in the snap of a finger? Do any of you have like a gut of like, oh yeah, it should be
Felicity Smoke?
Is that what it is?
No.
Now I have
Stop it, Steven.
You really said that right now. You're gonna piss off.
Bring her.
Who is that? Felicity? What?
She's she was. How did that all end up? She was Arrow's girlfriend on and off and on and off. And
she was his wife. She's his wife. She's in heaven right now.
So, she is.
Yeah, she's Inspector Heaven
after Crisis. You can do anything. So
you want her to just switch to a different Arrowverse?
No, it's just probably the thing that would make it like it would be like the most divisive move the Arrowverse could possibly make.
Because even I, as someone who never watched Arrow, no, people hated her, right?
Yes. Very much so.
Well, it wasn't just people hated her, but the people hated her, and she had hardcore stands, or at least people like hardcore shipped her.
I remember I crushed on her like the first season. I was like, oh, look at that, a hot little cute, hacker chick for blah blah blah, But then it just got to the point where it kept going back and forth. And are they going to be together? At
the cost of the Arrow Black Canary relationship?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they never got anything more interesting out of that than Will They Won't They. And even after they were officially together, they're like, well, the only cool drama here is the Will They Won't They. So they'll be engaged, but we'll do a Will They Won't They plot anyway. It's like, jeez.
To answer Mario's question, the one actress whose name's been batted around or has shown any kind of interest that I was like, yes, that was Wallace Day.
Yeah.
Because I loved her as Nessa Vex on Krypton. She was great in that show.
So she's been campaigning for that.
Yes.
Yeah, because there was a show that I'm like, bring this show back.
Yeah.
I loved Krypton.
Would Krypton on HBO Max be amazing with that level of production?
Well, especially considering it was originally put together as a prequel to Man of Steel. They could hypothetically maybe still kind of retcon some of that back in.
While we're on this subject, since Man of Steel and Henry Cavill being back as Superman has been a thing that everyone's
you guys talked about all this stuff before I got on.
I know exactly. But we could talk about it with you guys. I want to know your guys' opinion.
Maybe this is a natural segue back to that.
Yes, thank you, Mario. Let's get off the CW shit.
Thank you. I'm glad to bring it back to something serious.
The whiskey is helping you.
The whiskey did me very nice.
Yeah.
So everyone's talking about, the potential for a Man of Steel 2, the potential of more Henry Cavill as Superman. And I guess my question is, are people forgetting about the creative team behind Man of Steel? And would it be worth trying to get them back? Because so many people have a soft spot for Man of Steel. They love that movie. And while we always talk about that as Zack's movie, of course, it's Zack's movie. He directed that. But that was written by Jonathan Nolan and David Goyer. So a part of me wonders, is there any merit to the idea of trying to get those guys back? Because, if that was the movie that sort of began the DCEU that a lot of people to this day have so much love for, why do we never really talk about getting Nolan and Goyer back for a Man of Steel sequel? So I guess I just want to put that here to you guys. If they announce that tomorrow, or I guess forget that. How would you feel about it? Would you hire them? Would you want to see where they go next, or do you have a different creative team in mind, or just what do you guys think about that?
I think my overall thoughts on that are always a little bit complicated. I love the combination with the concept of Man of Steel 2 at all. It's always really tricky because I know people really want it, and I, of course, would love to see another one. But this is all happening because Zack Snyder's Justice League is happening. And I think it's important to remember for that it was a 5-part story about Superman with the Justice League kind of being supporting characters or coming around him. But the whole thing was centered around his arc as a hero.
Which is why Henry's definitely part of the reshoots for the Zack Snyder Justice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so keep going.
Well,
any Man of Steel 2 would be in contradiction to that if it happens beforehand. And so the question is, if there's going to be a Justice League 2 or season 2 and 3 or whatever to kind of finish whatever it takes to finish out Snyder's original arc. Mm-hmm. A Man of Steel 2 would be in competition with that if it were to happen beforehand. Maybe there's room for it in the story afterwards. And so for that reason, I'm always torn on the concept of a quote unquote Man of Steel 2. But maybe an easier way to answer that, to get them involved in the universe dealing with Superman, etc. I'd love, like, if Terrio doesn't do whatever the Justice League follow-up is, should that happen, I'd love to have Nolan and Goyer on that. I think I can take down say that.
Because someone in the comments said, there's no way Christopher Nolan comes back, and I agree. There's no way Christopher Nolan comes back in some sort of hands-on capacity here. But Jonathan Nolan, I mean, what's he doing lately? You know what I mean? Like, if
Westworld season 4,
that's one gig. Maybe we can get him back. Because honestly, I guess just my thing as the guy wearing the Man of Steel shirt, I love the script for Man of Steel. I really did appreciate what Nolan and Goyer were going for. Yeah. And this is like my controversial hot take, unpopular opinion within this roundtable here, because I know I'm surrounded by folks who really love that movie and Zack Snyder, I feel. But my thing is, when it ventured off from the script, which is in the third act, when it became more about the action and the spectacle, to me, that's where I personally stop enjoying the movie as much. I love the script as written, the dialogue, the actual story, beats that are in there, I'm obsessed with. But once it becomes more about the action, which people have, it's a known thing that a director has free reign when it's action. They could take one paragraph, they could take one sentence, which is just Superman and Zod fight throughout the city, and turn it into a 40-minute sequence. That's they had the creative liberty to do that. Yeah. So for me, Man of Steel, where things get dodgy, I mean, this is so unpopular here, and I'm just
say it. Just say it.
Let it go, Mario. Let it go.
The script, when it leaves the written word, when it leaves what Goyer and Nolan were going for, and it just becomes the area where there's not a lot of dialogue, but there's a hell of a lot of stuff blowing up, that's where the movie for me kind of jumps the shark. But that's just my thing.
I felt that way my first time on seeing it. I think there's a lot more storytelling happening through that transition than people necessarily realize.
Yeah.
And we don't have to, I know you've hashed it out a million times on Twitter, so we don't have to do that now.
No,
but I think that that is a complaint that I had maybe the first time, where I was like, wow, that's just so big. And the more times I see it, the more times the less big it seems, and the more you can see the story there. So my recommendation with these movies is always like, just watch it again, and eventually it'll be your favorite.
but I guess my point is just at its core, I really adore the Nolan Goyer script. What they wrote was really a Superman that spoke a hell of a lot to me. And so I guess I'm just curious what the temperature is of the average fan out there now, is of getting maybe that team back.
Well, I think
that story.
I think part of that is like, it was mainly Goyer. I think Nolan's, both the Nolans, I don't know, kind of just like they all kind of collaborated on like what the story was going to be, but the initial like screenplay was mainly Goyer and probably more Snyder. Mm-hmm. So you got to like take that in. I don't know. Like you said, I don't think there's going to be any kind of Nolan-esque thing that happened on HBO Max, but Goyer, I could see him being.
But that's the thing, though. But think about it. Though, Jonathan Nolan has a relationship with HBO through Westworld.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if they were like, "Hey, buddy, you want to do a mini series on your Man of Steel thing that'll connect to Goyer's Krypton?" Anyway, sorry.
But also going back to what you said, Mario. But you guys realize that Jonathan Nolan is in tight with J.J. Abrams because they work together on Person of Interest on CBS. J.J. Abrams is listed as an executive producer on Westworld. So Jonathan Nolan has a relationship with Bad Robot through 2 ongoing series now. So I see the webs you're spinning here, and I'm not saying it doesn't make sense.
No,
and earlier today on Twitter, just apropos of nothing, I mentioned that because there's the rumor from Campea, right, that apparently J.J. Abrams may direct a Man of Steel 2, or apparently, which contradicts what everyone else is saying, that there is no Man of Steel 2. So it is what it is. But
well, that was out there at one point for sure. I don't know if that's still in talks, but I do know that they wanted him for that, or he wanted it at least. I don't know. Rise of Skywalker might have impacted that discussion.
Yeah, but they also just handed over like $500 million to that's. I mean, there's that aspect of it. I mean, the whole Justice League Dark thing. I mean, I know he wants to. Well, he's not going to be like. What is he going to be on that? He's he's just producing it, right? He's not going to be. I think he's
developing it, isn't he? I think he's part of,
I don't know if he's going to direct or anything. I don't know if we're going to get an episode with lens flare. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But when it comes to the JJ stuff, I mean, like we were talking about before you guys came on, it's like he already pitched an idea, and he also screen tested Cavill in that. We saw the images where the Superman flyby. Of course, it was a little off. The source material, just a little bit. I don't know if you guys read the details on that. You guys remember that Superman flyby?
Like Krypton wasn't destroyed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Lex Luthor was a Kryptonian.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that one.
I didn't know that. I mean,
okay, this is all new to me.
Yeah, this is all new to me. So
yeah, Krypton still exists.
J.J. Abrams pitch,
and Lex Luthor is a Kryptonian. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Wasn't like one of the Wayans brothers? No, that was for
that was Batman.
That was Batman.
Yeah,
no, but there was some other weird, like wacky choice for Jimmy Olsen. I'm trying to remember. There was some weird way they were going to go with Jimmy.
Yeah,
I still want to know what the fuck Schumacher was thinking casting Marlon Wayans as Robin. Like all these. I mean, the dude gets residuals off of it. He gets royalties, so he's made a lot of money. Off of not being in a movie,
for not playing Robin.
Well, Nicolas Cage got $20 million for not playing Superman, and that $20 million figure is in the budget for Superman Returns because bookkeeping is fucking fascinating in Hollywood.
Wolfgang Peterson ends up in Batman v Superman, and George Miller, Mortal, ends up in that 300 million. That 300 million number we hear also includes Justice League Mortal wrapped up into that. Yeah. It's why I laugh when people focus so much on budget numbers. It's like you don't understand it's like how many times we say it.
Yeah.
No, it never sinks in. It's like, guys, this is creative accounting.
Yeah.
Everyone I know in the industry always says that they're like, not only is it creative accounting, you got all that stuff, but the numbers are wrong, like on top of that anyway. Yeah. Like they don't want, like they're gonna bend the numbers as many ways as they can, and on top of that, they're gonna like influence the reporting of it. And then you just do that magic like 2.5 times to figure out the profit when. Like, who knows how much they spent on marketing, and that's just kind of an assumed figure when sometimes it's way more.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place.
Yeah, people focus a lot on that. Like, and I do it too sometimes. Like, I catch myself, and it becomes hard because from just like the YouTuber perspective on this front, a lot of it is like we don't have the ins that a lot of you guys have, so we don't get this. We get the data secondhand, really. So then we have to interpret it the best way that we can. And a lot of people who talk about movies don't know the single first fucking thing about anything.
But they all know everything. Though.
But they're like, oh my, everyone's. I know, like
you're good.
Well, they're all big story fans, so therefore they know the most about the Superman movie. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of like I speculate a lot, but I've lived and worked in LA, so I have a better understanding than some people. But yeah, it just becomes like this. We kind of have to rely on what gets put out there. And then it becomes a battle over which outlet and which person is pushing it.
And which narrative gets out there.
Exactly. And there's a certain group of people that love to push the negative as much as they possibly can. And
negative drives clicks.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does.
Drives clicks.
But it becomes this frustrating thing when you're like, no, but I really want to know what's happening. And what it is those people's audience. Those people that believe that these YouTubers are correct will then flood like a virus, like herpes, to another channel, and then they try to infect it, and they go, no, but you're wrong. And I'm like, I'm not right. What are you talking about? No, this person said this thing.
Oh,
okay. So that guy in a mask knows what the fuck is going on. Like, I mean, what the hell? Like, so, I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Like, it's like, Film Junkie was saying earlier, it's like, you have to vet your sources. Like, I had someone email me Justice League Dark, like the movie, a bunch of info about the movie, but I can't vet any of it. Yeah. So I just I sat on it, and like, I don't know if I can, I'll do something with it. It's
disappointing when somebody sends you information and then all of a sudden it ends up being true. You're like, God.
Yeah, that's happened. That's happened too. Yeah.
Was it the Justice League Dark script?
No, it was like I got her. This was a few months ago, but it was like concept art, and it was just information from behind the scenes, and but it was completely unsolicited. Sent to my website email, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know yet.
Because the Del Toro script was going around.
I was about to say
that might have been it. Wasn't the script, but it might have been. I'll go look at it again because I kind of
it might be Del Toro concept art.
Let me. I'll bring it up.
It's a funny. I remember a lot of people might remember this. Actually, there was that fake script for Batman v Superman that went around beforehand. Yep. That was before
Umberto ran that.
It was
what's the fucking like that about Lex Luthor's like tattoo of the Metropolis skyline on his arm, or
one where there was like an Atlantean what do you call it, embassy in Metropolis, and all sorts of like
random shit got out there.
Apparently it was pretty good because Kevin Smith ran with it too. Kevin Smith was like, this is awesome. And the kid that wrote it, I remember it was Ancient Alien or Descended Alien or something like that. I think he's gone now because I think got involved with the industry somehow because of that script. Or either that or he just said that and then dipped out of Twitter. But
smart man.
That was before I worked at Screen Rant. I remember part of the reason that I always just read them as a reader, but I remember he did a long thread about how all you people that posted this without vetting it and double checking it, like, I put a lot of work into making it look good, but also like you should have caught this. And he's like, kudos to, he tagged a bunch of our editors and was like, Screen Rant was the only people who actually like properly vetted me and decided not to run it, but they were also really nice in the process. And I was like, all right, cool. I like these guys.
That's what you got to do. I mean, you get like a random email from someone saying, I got information, or like a comment underneath like a YouTube video or something. I mean, there's so many times that
comments are my favorite.
I know. Yeah. Big time, big, long YouTube comments are like crazy. But I mean, like I was telling Mario, I mean, and even what Jarbo was saying, like, hey, you really got to vet. I mean, I vetted my source for a month because I was like, there's no way. Come on. This guy just hits me up out of the blue. But then all of a sudden he like proved to me that it was legit. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, then. Yeah. I got some questions, and that's just what happens. But you really got to vet. You can't just take it in and go, okay, I'm just going to immediately, get it out there.
Or the best one is you get stuff sometimes that it's like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then like a year or two later, it happens.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait. You have to go back and look. And you're like, were they just lucky? Or did they know something and I blew it? Like,
well, there's a lot like that comes out of 4chan. There's a lot of like, you'll find leaks out of 4chan.
Leaks and shit like that.
Like Scoob. Scoob had the full plot put on 4chan from like last year.
No shit.
And yeah, it really did. Somebody posted the full plot of Scoob after seeing a screening of it from like, I think October of last year. And then when the movie dropped a few weeks ago, that resurfaced and like nobody believed it. And then it resurfaced and it's like, no, it was real. It was true. So, it's people drop it wherever. I mean, look at the Jedi Paxos leaks for Rise of Skywalker. First people are like, that sounds terrible. And then like, oh my God, no, it's real. When you see the movie, you're like, okay, now I get to see it in context. But yeah, I mean, like, so people drop. I mean, look at the what was it, Ghostbusters 2016. You had the Sony hack.
Yeah,
gave us the original pitch, which ended up being the movie, beat by beat. And then there was another guy who worked in post-production on it, who posted the entire thing to Reddit. Like, again, way more detail than the original Paul Feig pitch. Gave the entire movie on Reddit, and people were like having trouble believing it. But then you see it, and you're like, oh no, this is real. So yeah, people leak it constantly.
And Paul Feig still blames other people.
He blames anti-Hillary. You know what?
Hillary people.
Can I tell you this? I took my girlfriend to go see that movie the preview night. Yeah. Because I'm like, if I'm going to talk this much crap about this movie, I have to see it. Like that's my whole theory. I have to go watch it. And so but she's a big Melissa McCarthy fan and a big Kristen Wiig fan. And so we go see the movie and she's excited. We walk out and I'm like, "Oh, what'd you think of it?" And she just looks at me and goes, "Can we get our money back?"
Yeah.
Like it was so bad.
Dude, I went to that movie with like one of my friends who were like me and him are like just go back and forth and just talk shit, and that's what we pretty much did. I was like, Craig, we're gonna go see Ghostbusters. All right, it's probably gonna be a shit show. Okay, after I saw the first trailer and I saw that they turned Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to a possessed parade balloon, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be horrible. And then like the secret clip of Slimer with Girl Slimer in the car, I was like, wow, they're not holding back with the cringe on this. And I was like, okay, let's go see this. And the whole time we're just laughing about stupid stuff, and I will say this about Ghostbusters 2016 is like if it was a non-Ghostbusters movie, like the first like 20 to 30 minutes I could have enjoyed if it was not a Ghostbusters movie. But when it got into the Ghostbusters stuff, that's where I was just like, fuck this. I checked out. And all the cameos pissed me off. I hated the cameos. And then just everything about it. And then right at the end, when they did the secret scene and they're listening and then they hear Zool, I immediately just got out of my seat and said, fuck this. Well, I was like, oh yeah, that's the only time you're gonna actually like pay respect to the original fucking movie. Fuck you. Fuck you. Sorry.
But I remember my take on that movie was like, it was like watching somebody play an RPG and then make the least interesting decision at every possible interval. Where it's like, there's all these different ways you could have gone with this, but whatever the safest, most boring, most lame, least interesting way to go, that's where it went. And I'm like, oh my God, that's why this movie sucks.
So you're just begging somebody to pull out Magic Missile. Is that where we are with this thing?
I mean, listen, I'm waiting for something exciting to happen. Yeah. And every vanilla decision they could make, they made in that. In the theatrical cut. Maybe we need the fake cut.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's a 3.5 hour version. I'd watch it. I would just get really drunk.
Like an assembly cut or like a director's cut.
Paul Feig says he's got a 3.5 hour cut. He said because I mean, but you got to look at like how they shot the movie. They shot it like Anchorman. You know, they had a loose outline, and then they just went like you can even see scenes where you could like the scene where Kate McKinnon.
Here, let's cut away.
Yeah, like where she's dancing and she's trying to get Kristen Wiig's attention, and then but the camera's static. And then she just runs around in front of it. And you know they probably shot this for like 20, 30 minutes of just keep going. Just keep going, Kate. Become Kate. It just was so bad. But I give the movie credit on one thing. I give the movie credit. We got Thor Ragnarok because of Ghostbusters 2016.
That's true.
People don't believe me on that. I'm like,
that's a good comedic groove.
Yeah, finding that comedy that he was able to bring to that movie. And then
that was the most crazy about it. I thought it was like okay, and I think my personal opinion is the reason a lot of people think it was bad was because it was really really hyped up and then just okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have much loyalty to Ghostbusters, but what was really weird to me was that it was the big deal was like, oh, look at how funny all the women in this movie are, and then the funniest person was Chris Hemsworth, and they gave like the funniest parts also, and it felt like it undermined its own like attempt at being like, look, women can have, and it's like as if women haven't like led a comedy before. Like,
so are you saying that Paul Feig is a secret misogynist? That he undercut his own female power movie to give Chris Hemsworth
what pissed me off more than anything was that the reason we didn't get Ghostbusters 3, if you'll all recall, I know Steven just said he doesn't have a lot of loyalty to Ghostbusters, but I was born in 1983 and I fucking love Ghostbusters.
Yep.
And the reason we never got the actual Ghostbusters 3 was because Bill Murray played hardball and he didn't want to do it. He felt burnt out by Ghostbusters 2.
Well, and they turned it into a video game.
Yeah. Yeah. But overall, like the whole thing was we couldn't wrangle fucking Bill Murray to make Ghostbusters 3. And yet he agreed to make the terrible extended cameo he made in this.
Where he got killed, he got tossed out of a window by a ghost dragon.
And it's like, so let me get this straight. You agree to do this meaningless, nothing, pointless, offensive cameo to the Ghostbusters legacy.
Contractually, he had to do it.
There's a thing with that cameo, and like there's actually a subtle brilliance to that cameo.
Oh, tell me, please.
If you go and you really look, at the way he's performing, he is channeling William Atherton almost to a T.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's like, and that was one of the things I noticed when they go to the music festival, and like the maitre d', right, was doing the exact same moves as the manager of the hotel from Ghostbusters. I mean, but when you look at Bill Murray, he was so William Atherton's character. He was Walter Peck.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
And that to me, like, and I liked that aspect, but the ghost dragon thing, and then having like no consequences to him dying at all. I mean, the whole thing was terrible. But yeah, that part the cold open I liked. I thought the cold open was pretty good.
Yeah.
I was watching the movie. The cold open happens, and I think to myself, like, as the opening credits roll, I'm like, am I wrong? Am I wrong about this movie? And then like 5 minutes later, there's like an extended queef joke, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Like I said, I could have enjoyed it if it was like some kind of ghost catching movie with these actresses. I was like, yeah, they're all, they're all funny in their own resort. I mean, in their own manner or whatever the hell. But but as soon as it started getting into the Ghostbuster stuff, Kate McKinnon, like, doing her thing, and I'm like, okay,
and the dumplings, dumpling soup, like, really, that's your reoccurring gag. Okay.
It's frustrating because, like, I think Wig and like McKinnon are hilarious and have their moments in the movie, definitely. For sure. But it's like, it's almost, I don't know, it feels like they almost like chose the wrong takes or something. Where you're like, I thought that
none of them wanted to be there, so they're just like, just fucking pick one.
I don't know, because it's like, on paper, I think that that's a phenomenal ensemble.
It is, but Melissa McCarthy wasn't even funny to me in that movie.
No, well, that's what's weird. She has gotten a lot less funny, and I think it's because people decided, like, oh, well, let's make her cuss and scream and just record. And like Jarbo said, he feels like they just shot long scenes, then tried to cut them together. And I think that's probably what the problem is that Melissa McCarthy is funny, but you have to give her lines to deliver. You can't just be like, do some funny shit for 5 minutes, then we'll decide which one we like best.
That's why I actually liked McCarthy in The Boss, because she was playing that over the top character, but it served a purpose.
Worked.
And I thought it was good. Like, I hated Heat. I hated her in the Heat. I hated the Heat.
You hate it. I like the Heat, though.
Look, the thing is, like, Paul Feig works well in subversive comedy. So Bridesmaid, it was marketed as a female hangover, even though halfway through the movie, once they get off the plane, which was like everything they showed us in the trailer, once they get off the plane, it becomes this, like, best friend drama. So it completely subverts expectations on that front. But it was a good movie. The Heat was basically Tango and Cash, Lethal Weapon, Last Boy Scout, all the early 90s, late 80s buddy cop flicks, but with Sandra Bullock playing Gracie Hart from fucking Miss Congeniality. And I'm like, just give me a third Miss Congeniality movie.
We should all get off camera for what? Oh, too late. Never mind.
No, I'm you could have fucked with me.
Mr. Freak Davey out.
Yeah, no, I'm like, what happened?
He goes back.
I don't know, but yeah,
like, have your mic with you to be off camera and be like, I don't know, Dave, can anybody see me? Have everyone in the chat play along. That would have been great.
Real quick, because we were talking about the video game of Ghostbusters real quick. Ivan Reitman at Comic-Con 2017 decanonized that.
No shit.
I have the video clip. I have the clip, actually. Yeah. Because this is in 2017. They might recanonize it now.
I hope so.
But what happened was
recanonize.
No, there was a panel for IDW Ghostbusters, and they had Ivan Reitman show up, and I was back there, and I was able to get most of it recorded. And really, what it was is just like they're trying to pimp the concept of merging these two universes of Ghostbusters Prime and the new one, and that was why IDW was working on the comic book where they did. I think Holtzman goes through a portal and ends up in, New York, but Ghostbusters Prime timeline. And she meets Egon and Spangler, and they train her how to use proton packs and how to do the containment system. And then they did they were supposed to be working on another comic I don't know if it ever came out or not. That was supposed to like then kind of be a joint or like a sequel to Ghostbusters 2016 that was now with them being taught. And I couldn't help but think to myself when I'm in that panel, like, is this the plan? Is this Sony's plan? Like, let's do Ghostbusters 2 or 2016 2, and that's going to be, let's merge the two universes together. And then it will do a Ghostbusters 3 because people are going to flock to go see the originals. Yeah. And then they might then like these characters. And even Paul Feig said when Ghostbusters 2016 hit home video, he was out there saying, look, all you Holtzman fans, go and buy the DVD, go and buy the Blu-ray. Yeah. And he specifically said Holtzman. And I think all the market testing showed that like really Kate McKinnon was what people liked. Because they didn't say, "Oh, are you an Abby Yates fan? Ooh, do you like Melissa McCarthy in Ghostbusters dancing around and fucking eating dumpling soup?" Go buy the movie. I still don't own the goddamn thing. Even when I found it for $5, I'm like, no, I respect myself too much for that.
Now I'm looking forward to Afterlife. Of course that was supposed to come out next month or something. Like that.
Well, July, I think,
or whatever. Yeah, I know it was one of the coming months.
Well, I looked into Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I think I figured it out. Like, I think it is going to recanonize the game because of Ivor Shandor. And if you go, there's that one shot of the mine in the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. That's the Shandor mine. And then Ivor Shandor was the guy who built the building that Zool came through.
Yeah.
So, and then in the video game, he was the bad guy. Yeah. And he was actually, find out in the video game, spoilers, but like, fuck it, it's been 12 years. You find out in the video game that he was the reason, Ivor Shandor's ghost and the cult that worships him. Yeah. That was the reason why the slime was in the city in Ghostbusters 2. He was the reason that all that slime ended up underneath the city, tying in Ghostbusters 1 and 2 and the video game to this overall central villain that you defeat at the end of the game. And then now Ghostbusters Afterlife is tying right into that canon. And I'm like,
you just gave me goosebumps, man.
Right? I did the same thing, man.
Everybody else is like going, well, can we talk about Superman again? I'm like, dude.
No, man, we're fucking nerds, dude. We jump around.
Right now. I'm like at 43% right now. That's fucking awesome, and I really hope that's what they end up doing with that. Wow,
I spent like a full day just like looking into the lore of Ghostbusters, and figuring that out. So, right. I hope I'm proud of that journalism too, because I suck otherwise.
Well, I was gonna say, but
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, like I said, your Midnight's Edge behind the scenes of Ghostbusters. I remember that's when I first got. Where I first got to know like who you were, and I was like, really follow that series. And
I miss that Midnight's Edge.
Yeah,
I really miss those guys, that version of them.
Scott, you've been pretty quiet. What's your thoughts on Ghostbusters, huh?
I never saw 2016. So
okay.
Lucky motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now the funny thing is that I actually own it only because when Movies Anywhere launched, if you tied up to like you got 2 free by signing up, and then for every other account you signed, you linked, you got a free movie from all the different studios that participate in Movies Anywhere. So I linked my iTunes account, my Amazon account, my Vudu account, and for every account I got a free movie. Well, the Sony movie that was offered in that deal was Ghostbusters 2016, but I never bothered to watch it. I mean, I still remember going and seeing Ghostbusters 2 in theaters back in the day.
Oh, it's the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Scott, what percentage of your purchased physical media have you seen or read?
I'm not. That's not fair, Steve. That's not fair at all. I
still remember that bookcase that you had that you showed off. Like the first time you came on this thing, I was like, wow, look at that. You read all that?
Greater or less than 50%?
Greater than 50%.
Okay, good. There's
60%.
That.
What did you say?
60%.
Maybe. I don't know.
Right.
The only thing that helps my percentage is the fact that I purged when I moved here 5 years ago. There was about 6 U-Haul boxes that I took to a secondhand bookstore. That was just like, I worked for 7 years at a bookstore. The joke that was made was that's like a diabetic working at a Baskin Robbins. That was not a good choice to work 7 years at a bookstore.
It'd be like me working at a video store. I'd be watching.
Oh, I used to work at a drive-in.
Nice.
In San Diego for about 10 years overall. And I used to take, when we were 35 millimeter print, I would take a lot of the trailers home.
Wow.
So I got them somewhere. I have them somewhere.
That's pretty awesome.
But I was working when the Spider-Man 1 trailer came out, the very first teaser for Spider-Man, the one with the Twin Towers. Yeah. So when we got told to destroy it, it wasn't told to cut, to destroy it. My boss kept it. And I told him, I'm like, when you die, you motherfucker, I get that thing. Like, I'll put up with your shit, but like, I get the fucking trailer. And I'm gonna when he's getting up there in years. I've known him for nearly 20. You know, he's like a 3-pack a day smoker, and he's ex-Navy, so his anger keeps him alive. But I'm gonna go after that. I'll just hit up his wife and be like, yo, what's up? Remember me? Give me the fucking trailer.
Just do it.
Hand it over.
No,
but Dave, to your question, I grew up on the cartoon series, The Real Ghostbusters. Yeah, that was my entry drug to go back and watch, the original films. But that's kind of where my Ghostbusters lies, is that cartoon series, those first two movies, and that's where I kind of stopped.
Yeah, I have a whole crate full of Ghostbusters toys and everything. And speaking of that Spider-Man, trailer, I actually have the original poster that has Spider-Man, and the reflection in his eyes is the Twin Towers. It's rare. I have it framed up on my wall right now, that I actually came across when I was a cable guy. My first year as a cable guy, I just fixed this guy's cable, and he was so appreciative. He was like, hey, I'm going to give you this. And it was like an original print of that teaser trailer. All it says is 2002, like right underneath it. And that's it. And it has a reflection of the Twin Towers in his eyes. And they pulled them right after, of course, 9/11 happened. But yeah, I have that. It's pretty good. Mario, you look like you're about to fall asleep. So we have a Superman question right here.
Oh, bring it.
I know, I get it. You're 3 hours ahead. I feel bad. I mean,
it's 2 in the morning for me. I'm 5 hours sleep as it is, and I'm drunk.
You need to check out, man. Just say it. But right here, it's Thomas is saying any blue suit in Zack Snyder's Justice League. The deleted scene on Blu-ray is gorgeous. Excited for the black, but the blue looks incredible too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think absolutely, because we know that this has to end with that shirt rip. Zack himself filmed that amazing Henry Cavill shirt rip, and the shot of Superman flying off into the heavens. So we know that no matter what's going on with Zack Snyder's Justice League, unless I'm speaking out of turn here, maybe Steven knows something I don't know, but I think it has to end with that shot. How do you not still end with that form of Superman? So we're going to see some blue soups somewhere in there, I assume. Yeah,
I think.
Well, I'm looking at Steven going, oh, I'm going to let Steven take this one.
Here we go.
Do you think the shirt rip that he does, do you think it's going to be the blue suit? And that was like going to be, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about that today. I mean, I know he's supposed to have the black and silver. And a lot of people go like, oh, was that physically on the set? Did Cavill actually wear it? I'm like, well, no. If you look at all the behind the scenes, it's always blue. It's always the blue suit. But you can easily just, it doesn't even require CGI to make it black. And you could just do, certain things with the filter or whatever the hell, and make it easily just go back to that. But I mean, I'm just wondering if like when he pulls at the end, if that was meant to be the actual thing.
No. So what Snyder has indicated. There's a lot of different questions in this one question.
Yeah, there is.
So what Snyder has indicated is that it is over the course of the Justice League trilogy, he earns the blue suit back
because he's being reborn. Yeah.
Not at the end of Justice League 1 though. However, they shot it with the blue suit.
Yeah.
That was a compromise made by Snyder. His hope or intention was to switch back to the black suit because he knew he could. So he's like, sure, we'll film it with blue. I'm not entirely, and I know everybody knows that Snyder shot that last scene. That was not originally the last scene. So that was a scene that was shot as a part, or my thought, I don't know this for a fact, but my thought, since that's not supposed to be, that's not the original last scene, is that was shot as a part of the blue suit change. So if he stays in the black suit the whole time, I don't necessarily know that we're getting the shirt rip with a black suit. I don't think we're necessarily getting the shirt rip at all. Now which goes to that question of, is he doing one movie that wraps it up, or is he going to go for his trilogy? And my kind of personal take on that, knowing Snyder, is he's going to do what he can to get it as close to that original Snyder Terrio script before that post BVS rewrite. He's going to end it with Superman in the black suit. Darkseid is coming, like all the cliffhangers that got needled out throughout the course of rewrites and reshoots, and then he's just gonna say like, okay, that's my vision. Do you want more or not? And if not, then like that's Snyder going out like Snyder. If yes, then he gets to continue, and we'll find out what happens next.
And I think this goes back to what Mario was talking about earlier about the gamesmanship. It's like, how do you play the game to get you effectively a season 2? Is you leave them wanting more.
Well, for sure.
And also, and I keep on bringing this up, so apologies to anyone who's heard me say it a million times.
You're forgiven.
Yeah.
Is the month or so ago, Adweek had a coverage on HBO Max's marketing plan, and one of the things they mentioned in there is that the original plan was to focus on all of the different properties that they had. And so it was going to highlight HBO, DC, I'm reading them now, Sesame Street Workshop, Turner Classic Movies, Studio Ghibli, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, etc. And that was going to be like, look at all this stuff we've got. And in all their marketing tests, people didn't really care about the brands, and they found out what they care about is the characters. And so look at what we got out of their marketing. That is focus grouped characters that resonated with people. They turned out people really still care about the Wizard of Oz characters. People still really care about, they got Big Bird front and center along with Godzilla. Like it's just like, look at all these characters that you get on this platform. And what I always found fascinating about that is that knowing how that marketing pitch came around, look at a handful of the characters that are front and center in a lot of the marketing: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. And it's not just, I know that Bale's Batman shows up in some of them and et cetera. So it's not exclusively, but in most of them that I've seen, it's Affleck Batman, Cavill Superman, obviously Godot Wonder Woman, and obviously there's only one Aquaman. And so HBO Max, before the Snyder Cut was even announced, is already invested in these characters.
Well, they gave the Trinity like their own Twitter accounts for HBO.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And these are the DCEU versions of the characters. And so
it's also the versions that they actually have on the service, because not a single Christopher Reeve Superman, actually no Superman solo movie is currently on HBO Max.
That's true.
Probably because of some streaming rights deals,
licensing shit. Yeah,
right.
But
so that's also a thing going, these are the versions we have to work with, and along with they are the current versions, that are in the psyche.
Yeah, well, and it's also the versions that were determined based on what resonated with people in marketing. And so they know that people like these versions of the characters, despite what Twitter tells you. That's what, like, the marketing proves that they're not going to try to sell, like, this is a streaming platform. They don't care about continuity and whatever. They care about what's going to get people to subscribe to our platform. We're willing to put Momoa next to Reeve if that's going to, like, we don't care. And they did the DCEU versions mostly. So they've already got an investment in these characters. And so I think that's part of maybe what influenced. I think there's a little bit of back and forth as to, maybe the Snyder Cut encouraged some of that. Maybe some of that also helped with the Snyder Cut negotiations. But so then you look at, like, what are the chances of a Snyder Cut or Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2, Season 2, Episode 2, whatever, is that they're already have money on these characters. And so there's lots more money necessary to get it to that point. If they want to somehow move mountains and get Affleck back, and if all that manages to work out. But I think what is a very easy thing to say, just based on looking at their marketing, looking at what they have available, they would love to have Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 on the platform. Before even knowing what Zack Snyder's Justice League 1, they want number 2. They want as much of these characters on that platform as possible, and they honestly don't even care if it's good or not. I'm sure
Probably
they do,
not.
but like I obviously they don't want it to be bad. But like look at the streaming model and the way that people pay for things, and I bring this one up all the time too. Netflix paid Adam Sandler hundreds of millions of dollars just so they could have Adam Sandler content.
And those movies are fantastic, Steve.
They didn't pull out, they're not doing that. They didn't get Scorsese to an exclusive contract like that. They didn't get Nolan to an exclusive contract like that. They went for Sandler because they know that there's an audience for his movies and people will watch them, even though like critics are going to knock them and they're not necessarily going to be like the biggest box office hits in the world. And so you look at like, how could you say that a Zack Snyder Superman movie is like hated enough to like not be worth the investment if Netflix thinks that Sandler movies are like their bread and butter?
Bam.
Well, but
guys,
that actually,
I'm sorry. I hate to do this, but it's my time to bow out.
No. I get it. Yeah, you're looking sleepy, Mario.
Yeah, it's 2 in the morning.
your eyes are looking as red as my avatar.
Wow.
Exactly.
Well,
Smoke a joint, go to bed, dude.
this has been real.
No.
Let's do this again sometime. And thanks for having me. This was
welcome on the Vodka stream anytime, Mario. Man.
hell yeah.
Don't worry, man.
All right, guys. Have a great night and enjoy the rest of your discussion. I'll catch up on it tomorrow.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for joining. All right, Mario Robles, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All
right. So what were we gonna say, Jarbo?
So yeah, talking about the Netflix streaming thing. I mean, look at like how much money Netflix has pumped into this content, and also with Affleck too. Yeah, Triple Frontier opened last year, or it was a little over a year ago. I think March of 2019, and it didn't do exceptionally well critically speaking, but it's still. I mean, that was a big cast of people, and Affleck coming to streaming was actually pretty big at the time. So he's not. I don't think Affleck would be against coming back. For anything else. Cavill, with obviously The Witcher being as big as it is, clearly makes the most amount of sense to get him back over. And I mean, look, we know that the top 3 streaming services are ultimately, top 4 are going to be Amazon, Netflix, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. HBO Max now has to crank things up because we've seen that it's got fewer mobile downloads than Quibi did. But that also has a lot to do with the fact that HBO Now automatically upgraded to HBO Max.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of
that's like 8 million people.
And Matt, I have a question for you about that story too, because I saw that as well.
Yeah.
And it talks about mobile downloads, but I'm assuming, and I would like some insight into this. When it says mobile downloads, is it just talking about people who downloaded the apps to their phones or tablets? Because I'm kind of curious about, smart TVs and boxes like Apple TV and that kind of
Roku.
Roku can't get right? I have 2 Roku televisions and I'm fucking pissed.
I know people that have it on Roku.
Well, you can side load it, I think. I just don't know how to do any of that.
Right.
But that wouldn't be in their number.
The big complaints you hear are it's not on Roku and it's not on Amazon Fire Stick, because those deals either aren't done or are just slowly working. But I'm just kind of curious, when they qualify it by saying mobile downloads, are they just talking about people who download it to their
pretty much
phone or the tablet? And then my argument for that is, why would you download it to your phone and your tablet? You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. That's the thing with Quibi too.
Mad, Scott?
What'd you say, Steven?
Can I give you the answer to that? That'll probably make you mad, considering the nature of the question.
Okay.
Because like 70% of the watch time on these apps is done on mobile.
Yeah, like right now, most of YouTube is watched on mobile.
It's crazy.
And it's just because people are watching it more and more from these devices as they go out and about. That's why Quibi, I think ultimately, I'm a defender of Quibi, as weird as that is.
No, it could be something.
It could be huge. They have this great distribution model of doing these little bite-sized episodes, but once a day is too much. It's so easy to get behind. They got to space it out. And then HBO Max is even like kind of freaking out over where things are because that show Love Life, that one with Anna Kendrick. Have you seen the GIF going around of her getting railed from behind?
No.
There's no nudity.
I haven't watched it yet because I actually do want to watch the show.
Well, spoiler alert, she gets railed from behind. And Dave will be back in approximately 30 seconds. So
I'm too excited, Matt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's why I said 30 seconds.
Sorry about that, guy. Yeah, I know. I don't know how that happened, but I hit my mouse at the wrong moment. Sorry. Anyways, yeah.
Well,
anyways, Anna Kendrick getting railed from behind. Go ahead.
So apparently the show is doing pretty well, and so the audience interaction on that is high. And so now instead of releasing it once a week, they're going to be dropping a new episode every couple days as a way to like space it out, but also keep people interested. And I'm like, oh fuck, come on, you guys, don't already freak out.
Well, what I heard was 3 episodes, like they're going to do 3 episodes a week now, is what I heard. Every
couple days they'll do a new episode as well. Okay. That's what I was reading, but I could be, they could change it. I could be wrong.
I mean, 2 or 3 regardless.
Yeah. Quibi did that originally with like any new show. They'll drop like the first 3 episodes, which is about 25 minutes, depending on the show. And it's funny too, because Anna Kendrick has now launched something for the last 3 streaming services.
She has, right?
Yeah. And I will say though that dummy show on Quibi is fucking funny.
Okay. I haven't checked it out. I haven't checked anything out on.
Do you know the premise of the show?
No.
It's based on a true story. So I have to start with that. Anna Kendrick plays Dan Harmon's girlfriend. And it's Donald Logue plays Dan Harmon, but it really is meant to be Dan Harmon. And she finds his sex doll, which Dan Harmon owned a sex doll. That is real. and then her subconscious makes the sex doll come to life.
Oh, wow.
And so they have conversations and they get into some weird shit.
Wow, that sounds interesting.
And so, but it was written by Dan Harmon's like real life, I think, fiance right now. Oh, but she actually, but it's based on a true story.
That sounds good.
Hey, Matt, here it is. It's from HBO Max's PR account.
I thought you looked up the GIF.
No.
What?
I'll watch the actual
There's no
show.
nudity in it, but it's implied.
We could
but it does say that HBO Max accelerates Love Life on Max episode release schedule in response to strong viewership. Next Thursday, episodes 4, 5, and 6 will be available. And then the next Thursday, the final 4 episodes will be added.
Wow.
So,
they're just busting it out, man.
Wow.
I mean,
my favorite model.
Don't worry, Josh. You'll probably get a physical copy of Zack Snyder's.
I'd be surprised if it's not one of it. They want it exclusive for a while, but I think eventually they'll drop it.
Like I own the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things on Blu-ray. So if a season drops, I will buy it.
Yeah, there's no way that Zack Snyder's Justice League is not going to be like a physical thing you can own. I mean, I know a lot of people are freaking out like, oh, I can't get HBO Max. It's like, well, I mean, I know there's like Sky is going to handle some of it. Sky, is that what it is, Steven?
Sky in the UK. Yeah.
People are freaking out about international and physical. And I think for physical, yes, it'll be available eventually, not necessarily at launch. And for international, everywhere is going to have the content available in some way. It just depends on where the rights currently exist. Crave in Canada, Sky and much of the UK, YouTube TV in Australia and some other places. So it'll be out there.
You'll be able to get it. Yeah.
To add on to the point of the physical release, if you go back 4 years, I do love to bring this up when talking about BVS Ultimate. Once it actually came out in July of 2016 on home video, it spent the next 5 weeks at number 1. And 4 of those 5 weeks, The Killing Joke on Blu-ray was number 2.
Oh, wow.
So for the summer of 2016, it was a lot of Warner's, a lot of DC content that was moving merch. And so I think, because I really do think that the extended cut just took everybody by surprise.
Yeah,
I was blown away by it. I was like, loved it.
I still remember Schnepp like doing a 180. Like he hated like theatrical, but when he watched the ultimate cut, he was like, "Oh wow, this movie's actually fucking good, guys."
Well, the point I always draw about that also is the ultimate is like far and away better. I think that the movie also just generally improves on rewatch also. Mm-hmm. And so with multiple watches of the theatrical, because I saw it 4 times or something in theaters, and a lot of the stuff that was like didn't quite click improved throughout. And so when like a lot of people, the ultimate was like their second go, and so there's a lot of like, oh, it's so much better. There's also an element of like also just revisiting this stuff made some things click before that would have clicked anyway.
Yeah.
But having said
that goes to the idea about the way the movie is shot and the way that a lot of Snyder's movies are, is that there's so much going on around. Right. That you need a second or third viewing to go, okay, let me stop focusing on this and let me look at all the other stuff.
Right. Well, like Lex's arc, I think is a perfect example of the difference that we're talking about here, because Lex's arc isn't really even clear until you rewatch it again and you start to be like, oh wait, so that's what he was doing here and there. However, then with the Ultimate Cut, there's actually chunks of his plot that are missing, like the fact that he was the one ordering the prison killings.
And that's what got me was I was watching the Ultimate Cut and it got to the Capitol Hill scene. And like, okay, obviously I know there's going to be a bomb, but then we start seeing KG Beast doing all those ops and getting it ready. And I remember this. I got like, I had goosebumps all of a sudden and I sat up in my chair. I went, no fucking way. Right. Because it just, all of this stuff, all of this context now just kind of, clicked into place.
Yeah. And then even Lois, like her whole like story of like Lois was just like, when you watch the theatrical cut, it's like, okay, Lois is there, but with this, she actually does like her investigating, and then when when it comes to the bomb that got that blew up the Capitol, it's like, oh, it was encased in lead. That wasn't shown, in the theatrical cut, and then it was like, oh, that's why Superman couldn't see it, and that's why at the last minute he heard it, and blah blah blah,
Or there's even other stuff like going. Just a quick plug for I do BVS by the minute with Andrew Dice, so check out my podcast.
Kick this guy out. Oh wait, I can.
Chill.
One of the things that he brought up recently that's really cool is how the what's her name at Star Labs,
Clyburn,
thank you, is
the Flash universe.
She says like she's never seen that kind of metal before. I never really thought about that twice. And my co-host Andrew Dice on my podcast BVS by the Minute said it brought up the fact that like Lex was probably making bullets out of Kryptonian metal.
Yeah.
And that's part of why it was like they didn't know what it was. Which takes me back to like those prequel comics that came out like with like Doritos and Dr. Pepper, where like Lex was stealing Kryptonian tech and trying to make stuff. And I realized that's probably an early version of he was making like trying to find weapons that could kill Superman, and that's what those bullets were maybe initially. I don't know, but yeah, lots of stuff like that where you like don't really think about it, and then all of a sudden you slow it down on a minute by minute basis, and every single episode we're like, whoa, I never noticed this before. Like there's no microscope too fine to like not notice new stuff.
I still remember when they were teasing the Ultimate Edition, and like one of the clips that they released online was just a small clip of Luthor just looking at the footage of what happened when somebody broke into his factory. You see Batman, just swoop down and just pick somebody up and just go up. And I remember going, why would you cut that? Oh, I just remember just going,
it's a half a second.
It's seriously like a second, 1.2 seconds.
With the wide eyes.
Yes. I'm like, that was like the most Batman thing I've ever fucking seen in cinematic history. And you cut that? Why would you do that? I was like,
not only that. Remember the scene after the climax when the FBI raids the ship and they arrest Luthor? Yeah. Right. That wasn't in the theatrical cut. That was in the extended, but Warner Brothers released that 6-second clip the Sunday after BVS came out. They released it on YouTube, and I had a friend of mine who saw the movie, and he hated the movie, but he's a huge comic fan. And that scene drops, and he just goes like, "Why the fuck wasn't that in the movie? Why the fuck wasn't that in the movie? That would have explained so much in that minute." Well, and then that was when we start hearing about this Ultimate Edition, it's like, so many of the blue check mark types were like, oh, it's just going to be more of the same shit. It's just going to be terrible.
So much more.
It was so much. It was like such a good fucking movie. I agree with Umberto on that same podcast with Schnepp, because I was watching the Collider, and he's like, I think they left about $250 million on the table by cutting this out. Yeah. And I'm like, I actually really agree with him, and I kind of hate to do
he
that.
was like, this is the best CBM ever. I mean, he was like totally, What were you gonna say, Scott?
Well, and also the fact that Snyder was doing his thing, because there were interviews like 2 or 3 weeks before the movie hit the theater. He was already plugging the Ultimate Edition in interviews before the theatrical dropped. We knew there was going to be an extended version on home release.
Well, and that's a fact.
And it was going to be R-rated. That's a fact that I feel like in the fury of everything, people forget these little details that like in February of 2016, we already knew the Ultimate Edition was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the funny thing about that Steppenwolf scene that I haven't ever gotten an answer to, but kind of the theory in my head is, I think that part of the reason they cut that is because they had already changed if I have my timeline correctly, by the time the movie came out, the design had already been changed for Justice League. And so I think someone was like, oh, we should cut that because it's not the same. And so he's like, fine, let's put it in my Ultimate. Because that's always a point of contention. But I think, per the timeline, they already knew that Justice League Steppenwolf was not going to look like the version they made for BVS. Yeah, and I mean, and what's funny too is like, I mean, there's still about 15-20 minutes that Snyder actually wanted to put in there. I mean, the information I've gathered is like his actual full-on cut of BVS was supposed to be 3 hours and about 15 to 20 minutes. And a pivotal scene in there too, which I wish was added to the Ultimate Cut, was when Clark's mother got captured. He flies out. Huh? What's her name again? Oh, Martha. Yeah, why did you say that name? I know. Why did I say that name? God damn it, Steven. Save Martha. But like he flies up and tries to listen for her, and all he hears is all the fucking, the tragedy that's happening in Gotham and blah blah blah. And it's so cryptic that they were like, we can't put that in the fucking movie. But I'm like, yeah, I want to see that scene. I want to see that scene where, I mean, because we kind of got a little taste of that in Superman Returns, where he's like up in the atmosphere, like above, in space, and he's kind of listening to everything, but it's not really, and then he just stops and he hears something and then he goes down. But I want to see that scene where he's up there and he's hearing all, like, everybody just, yeah. And here's the thing that clicks with me when I think of that scene also, is the whole notion of it was he couldn't find her because of the noise. So he's looking for Martha, Gotham, and he's got to shut out the noise of the world around him. Yeah. And you almost wonder if there's going to be like a voiceover of like, listen to my voice, pretend it's an island. Oh, don't even do that. Right? Yeah. The world's too big, Mom. The world's too big. Like literally, that's what that is. That's like, it's still too big. God damn it. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's the thing with these movies, is there's like, one of my actually probably my favorite scene in the BVS extended cut is the part where, they're blaming Superman for everything and he just calls his mom. Yes. Like, it's just, he calls his mom. The best thing about that is he goes, he stops, he pauses, he goes, hi, because he doesn't know what to say. He wants to say all the shit and he just goes, hi, and she gets it. And she gets it. She gets it. And then I just love her. Like, any mom is like, fuck them all. Like, you don't own a goddamn thing, but she knows. And like, that was the thing too. People always like to go off on Man of Steel about, is like, oh, like, oh, he should have saved his dad. I'm all like, you don't understand the scene. No, you just don't understand the scene. His dad sacrificed himself in order to protect Clark. Yes. That was the point. And then it's like also the whole thing with like, saving the kids. Well, should you have let him die, or should I have let him drown? I don't know. Maybe. I know. And it sounds so morbid, but at the same time, you have to understand. And a lot of people just go like, oh, that's fucked up. Yeah. That's not Superman. Yeah, that's not Superman. That's not what you do. But then you just kind of think about it and you go, well, yes, that's what a parent would say to their kid. Like, exactly. Yes, you did this. Yes, it's good. But what are the consequences? And we have to think about that. And that was always what I felt Jonathan Kent was trying to kind of beat into Clark. Not literally, but just, like, convey to him is like, there's consequences to your actions. You have to be careful. It's such a good fucking movie. Dude, I think one of my favorite scenes, one of my favorite Jonathan Kent scenes is when he gets bullied and Jonathan Kent's like in the distance, and then when like Clark gets up, I mean, I just like the way that Kevin Costner like played it. He's all, did he hurt you? And he knows, of course not, but he's he's breaking him down. Like, did he hurt you? No, not physically. Well, and Clark even says, they can't. Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, that's not what I meant. Yeah. That's not what I meant. And I just love the way that he looks down and I'm like, did he hurt you? And he just kind of gives like this look. The way that Kevin Costner looks down at him is like, I know he didn't hurt you, but did he mentally hurt you or blah, blah, blah. That's just one of my favorite, like flashback Jonathan Kent scenes in Man of Steel. Well, it's also a great parenting scene of, I need you to understand that you can't just coming from. Yeah. You're right.
I need you to get a grip on you. And because if you choose to go off, that's not going to be a good thing. And it's all about, the fact that, they've got Clark reading Plato's Republic at the same time. And you see they zoom in on the fence post and he's like, he's crunched.
Yeah, he dented it. Yeah, because he grabbed onto it because he was pissed off, but he couldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just goes back to, what Mario was talking about earlier about, what Goyer does nail so well in that script is that father-son relationship between Jonathan and Clark. And as much as people don't want to, because Jonathan isn't the grandpa, spouting some, farm wisdom, it's like, no, but he's being a dad.
And that's the thing that gets lost on all these fucking people, man.
Yeah.
Like all these fucking haters. It's like, dude, like, I've become a father in the last couple of years, got 2 kids. And it's like, I kind of think about that. Like, how do I want to convey these real world problems, to these kids and what's going to happen and how am I going to approach it? And just like these people that like, when they complain about Snyder deconstructing these characters, even deconstructing Batman to the point of like Batman becoming this dark, brutal, cynical person, and which would happen. Like
it totally would.
It would totally happen. And like, look at like people in YouTube. You start off all, oh, hi. And then after a while, like stuff starts to kind of weigh on you. And a lot of people, they burn out. I know I've burned out. Like people burn out all the time and they just become bitter and angry because of the world and how they process it. And this is, everything that's been going on. It's just such great characterizations. And my favorite thing that Snyder had said in regards to the Snyder Cut is like, we get to spend more time with these characters. Yes. And we get to spend more time, we get to like tell more of their story. And I'm like, fucking thank you. Just fucking thank you. I cannot wait. Like, just give me a scene of like them sitting around eating shawarma and talking shit. And I'll be fucking happy.
Shawarma.
Fuck it.
But Matt, going back to your point, so I think about the scenes we know are in this movie. And I'm sorry, if you're talking about something that's almost 4 hours long, I've been asked this question because as Steven likes to give me crap on a regular basis about how I tend to be a very spoiler averse person because, I want to experience the story. And I think even I was talking to Sean O'Connell about this too. And he was asking about how do you feel about, all the stuff that Snyder's already shared. And it's like he's shown a fraction. He's given a very broad outline of how the story goes. And the fun part is still going to be watching what he fills in the blanks with, because there are a ton of blanks.
Yeah.
And I think what this movie is going to be
an onion appeal for sure.
That's something that Justin Midside, I think, brings up a lot is that a lot of like moments that occur in the movie, but like, can anybody tell me what it's about?
Nope.
Like what are like any of the themes or concepts tackled? I mean, we have an idea just based on what we know about Snyder, but I'm
looking forward to the Bruce and Barry dynamic. I mean, we saw we didn't really get to see it in the theatrical, but I'm sure what Snyder gives us is going to be so much more deep.
And I've got to have some feeling that the idea of the mother boxes and the unity. I mean, you can tell that was probably supposed to be thematic and deep. And was reduced to a weak ass MacGuffin in the theatrical cut, because if you look at the marketing and the Gary Clark song, all in, come together, the fact that the unity and what does that mean, and of course,
Cyborg is the heart of the movie, and he's the only one who can communicate with the mother boxes to stop the unity from happening. Like that is core to his story. And like he has, like, why does he need to be in the theatrical version? If you could take him out of that and insert like any other character and it's fine.
Yeah.
But you take like the way his role has been described in Zack Snyder's Justice League is it's his like origin story. And he is the one that is required to separate the mother boxes. He goes in there and they tempt him to like give him his family and his body back. And he's part parademon, like that isn't even played with. Like,
he's not even touched.
But real quick before we get too far away from it, I want to go back and mention with the Goyer fatherhood bit. I remember reading an interview leading up to Man of Steel that I thought was really interesting, and I always remember this in the father-son scenes. As I'm almost positive, Goyer said that when he was writing the script, he lost his dad and he became a father.
He became a stepfather. That was the thing. Is that so? That whole scene about "you are my son."
Oh God!
Was delving into the fact that he was taking his wife's children and accepting them as his own.
You know what kind of, just as a side point to that, you know what kind of sucks is like Gunn did the same thing with Yondu and Quill and Guardians 1 and 2, and that got so much love when that came out. But then you got the scene from that same dynamic in Man of Steel, and it was just met with this. That's not Jonathan Kent.
That's not him.
They can fuck off.
Well, it's because people know who Jonathan Kent is and they've never fucking heard of Yondu.
Yeah, I know. It's just funny. The dynamics are there. Like I have a stepdad, so it kind of relates. I get a lot of, like what the emotions are trying to convey. And it was just well done storytelling.
I think that's the most frustrating part about like the DC movies versus the Marvel movies is that like, not to necessarily take those down because I enjoy them enough for what they are. I actually think I'm less resentful of them now that Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming because they don't have to provide me all the satisfaction that I need. I know I can still get the Justice League stuff that I want from Zack Snyder, and so Marvel can just kind of exist and not offend me anymore. Yeah. Is they don't have to worry about any comparisons to any previous anything. We've seen Superman. Everyone knows Superman. Everyone knows Batman. Everyone knows the Kents. They have these multiple versions of these characters in their heads of what even my mom doesn't care about these characters. When I was a kid, she was like, oh, I wish they'd be more like Adam West. He's gotten too dark. And like nobody knows who Iron Man is. And so Robert Downey Jr. had his work cut out for him. Nobody knows who Yondu or the Guardians of the Galaxy are. So all they have to do is be like, oh, hey, here's these characters and these are the definitive versions and here's an okay story with them. And everybody eats it up because there's no like, that's not my Peter Quill. My Peter Quill.
Yeah, exactly. not my Quill.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah, my Quill. I know. I mean, I was one of the people when I first saw Man of Steel. I wasn't like a fan of the Jonathan Kent death scene because I was all about the whole like, well, Superman. The one thing he can't do is prevent a heart attack. I like that aspect of it, and I still do. But at the same time, there was like I don't know, years ago when I rewatched it. I don't know, for like the third or fourth time, it just like hit me like, oh, okay. I get it. Wow. I mean, the ultimate sacrifice from a father to his son. Like, no, now is not the time for you to reveal yourself. There are too many people. No, don't do it. And then like the pure, like, I mean, the fact that Clark has to live with that nowadays. I mean, and then of course the way that it jumps back and forth. And when he's talking to Lois about it and he tells her like what exactly happened. I mean, I totally 100% understand it now. But at first I didn't. But after like about 3 or 4 watches, I was like, oh yeah.
I think also the heart attack is a thing that he can't stop. Yeah. And what Snyder is doing with Superman in his movies, and it's something that a lot of people don't like, but what he was doing with him that's different there is he intentionally created a scenario where Superman could have
saved him,
and he had to make the decision not to. And that's the whole idea of the Superman is that when you have the power to save anyone, you also have the burden of deciding who does and doesn't get saved, and that's the whole burden of this Superman in this universe.
And then you run that along the parallel of Zod. And how he handled Zod. And I remember an interview with Snyder talking about that and like leading into BVS about how Superman had to understand the fragility of life and understand what it would take in that regard. Like, living with that action, like just like Jonathan Kent, living with the action of having taken a life in order to save others and to help kind of guide the character. And I'm like, this is some great deconstruction. This is some like nice philosophical shit. Like let's dive into this. Let's get fucking nuts, And
that carried over into BVS because think about what the Nairobi woman says at the hearing, in the Ultimate Edition after the Africa scene where she talks about, well, he gets to decide, who lives, who dies. And then you get the carryover into the mountain scene with, I love Zach saying the Fortress of Solitude, Jonathan. Basically becoming an avatar instead of having hologram Jor-El, we get.
Did you see Sam Parker Metal? Grabbed a screenshot of that the other day, and you can see there's like the crystal spires. You can see in the rock formation behind him. Like there's literally like the Fortress of Solitude. You can
there's a little symbolism of the Fortress of Solitude right there.
But
I didn't even know that.
And there's even the one
about Snyder.
And then in that conversation, though, is about, yes, you can save these people, and then there's going to be consequence. Like the themes are carrying over. And so as we were talking about with Zack Snyder's Justice League, is I want to see the film that's actually thematically connected to the two previous movies so that I can see the through line through all of them to see, okay, the lessons learned in these two movies, how do they carry over? And then how do all the other Justice League characters, especially the ones who get introduced in Zack Snyder's Justice League, how do they continue to build and play off that theme? Because it's not like the themes happened in Man of Steel and then stopped. They bleed over because it was supposed to be a arc. Yeah. You're not going to be done until you get to the end of the arc and the characters become their true selves. That's why Snyder loves Joseph Campbell and the monomyth, Hero of 1,000 Faces and all of that, because that's what Campbell, that's his bread and butter, is that these stories are cyclical, and that's why we see them over and over again throughout human history.
Well, and also you have all those themes that have been going on. What happens when you run them through the prism of the anti-life equation? But you look at the themes that Zach plays with and the way he handles all of this, and he hasn't even touched the concept of the anti-life equation yet, which is the distinction with that is always really fascinating and really ties into the Zack Snyder is the anti-life equation is not death. Anti-life is not death. Anti-life is the absence of free will.
Yeah.
And so, put that in the hands of Zack Snyder and give him a new god that is over the top theatrical, and you're gonna, I think, get something special.
Well, it also ties into the stuff in Krypton with the predestination, and they didn't have their choice. You were born
to be something.
Yeah. And so once again, it's the idea of those themes, and then you turn that into a society that doing that led to their destruction. And then by the end of Man of Steel, the whole thing with the neck snap and everything is that, okay, Krypton is
done,
gone. Yeah. Superman chooses us. He wants to be human.
Yeah.
But then you introduce the idea of the anti-life equation that, okay, he gets to be human. What does that lead to? And where my brain goes is, okay, we know that, sorry, Nat, that losing Lois.
You are in Alabama. I get it.
I know. Well, it's a vodka stream theme now. The last time,
I had Nats. Yeah.
Anyway, but the idea that him losing Lois, the thing that ultimately makes him human. Yeah. You are my world. I choose Earth because of you.
Yeah.
And then when I lose you, I'm willing to give that. I mean, I'm making stuff up at this point because thematically the beauty of this is it works. You can see how it would play out. Of course, I'm also looking forward to watching a movie and go, oh no, I got this completely wrong because he's got some great ideas, and that's the fun part.
Well, then you also have to add on the religious angle that Zach was playing with a lot in BVS. I mean, I know that was a lot more prevalent and definitely a lot more on the nose, but it also makes a lot of sense. It goes back to that line, I think, from Watchmen about Dr. Manhattan, like about, we're just happy that he's American. Yeah. And, we have a God and God's American. And I always kind of, when that line in the movie, I always kind of applied that to Superman. Because, I mean, obviously there's the Red Sun, story too. But when you look at BVS, and so I mean, because again, look at this from a realistic perspective. If we were to all of a sudden see that there was an extraterrestrial being on this planet that was impervious to bullets, impervious to damage, and could take us all out, but chooses to save us, would people not fucking worship that guy? I mean, it would happen. And then but then I also love that there was Clark feeling the responsibility and the burden of that responsibility, and how he was always having to struggle with the dichotomy of his choices, which is why I just really enjoyed, I think for me personally, I really enjoyed the scenes in the extended cut where we got to see Clark be Clark and going and investigating.
Oh, I love that.
Just because it felt like the anti-Batman, like the anti-detective comic sort of thing, where he's doing this, but it's like he could do so much more. He could beat that guy and get the information out of him. He could use his hearing and his vision.
He could have flown over to Gotham City, but he took the ferry.
Yeah, he chose to he's playing the role of being a human, knowing he's a god, but he's also but that is what he wants. I think deep down, he wants to save people, but that's the responsibility angle. But what he truly wants is to just be normal.
Well, and that goes into your idea of the religious aspect too, because if we're going to make the Jesus comparison to Superman, it was all about coming down and becoming one of us, and then you tie that into Darkseid, and then that can kind of become like the whole Last Temptation idea. Because let's be honest, Darkseid is basically a great Satan adversary character that Kirby created. Highfather was God, Darkseid was the devil, and then you have the devil tempting Superman
with the anti-life equation,
right? Because he can take away Lois, which then makes him more susceptible to the temptation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and also I think on that same point, also a lot of people get hung up on the Jesus symbolism, as if Snyder is comparing him to Jesus, and he uses that as a reference because it's representative of sacrifice and all these other. There are a lot of parallels. They also miss the I think the Vikram Gandhi or that says it in the montage in BVS, but he says that we project ourselves onto him. Mm-hmm. And that's during the scene in BVS where the De La Muertos scene where they're all out reaching out, putting their hands on him. And he says, what if he's just a guy trying to do the right thing? And he's out there and he's like, he's trying to save people, but these aspirations of a savior are being put onto him. Yep. He didn't ask for this. He didn't
ask for it, but
and it's being projected onto him. And the meta narrative that's hilarious with these movies always is that then this Jesus stuff is being projected onto him in the character in the real world. Also, people are talking about what Superman should be and what he should do and how he should be portrayed. And they want him to be that same savior character. And they can playing into the same thing that everyone in the movie is playing into, missing the fact that he's just a guy trying to do the right thing, burdened with the ability to save anyone and having to choose who doesn't get saved.
Which is why, going back to Man of Steel, there's that little scene where he's in the bar and that trucker is hitting on the waitress and he dismantles the dude's truck. You know, just that little vindictive moment was human. It was human.
He was he resisted when the guy was pouring the beer over his head. He was like, I gotta walk away. But then he went outside and he was like, fuck this dude's truck. He gave into it. He was like, fuck this dude's truck. Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
And that's the funny thing. We've been spending the last 40 minutes or something discussing the thematic elements of Man of Steel and BVS about what Snyder was doing with them. And then now, if you think about that, we can then think about this excellent conversation. I'm having a ball talking about this and what that's going to mean for what's coming. And that gets my nips hard. Because it does. It does.
The idea of it happening episodically.
Yes.
Weekly.
Well, there's a comment I saw. Someone's like, just imagine the conversations that are going to come out of us watching each episode. Yeah, and breaking it down
for a week. AT&T and HBO Max looks at the people still talk about BVS. He does the director's commentary, and it gets just as much press as movies that are supposed to be dropping that same within a few weeks of when that was. And there's Batman v Superman stuff all over the news. And HBO Max is looking at that oh wow, we could generate that kind of conversation on a weekly basis.
And that's why
2.5 months.
I compare it to The Mandalorian. Yeah, it's the same concept. It's the Baby Yoda concept where it's going to draw
more
people.
Controversial though. Because won't stop talking about it.
I was reading an article today on Birth Movie's death, and it was saying like it was so full of inaccuracies. It was just Andrew Todd wrote it, and it was just like the Snyder Cut's not going to be what you think. And then he even said $20 million. It's like, oh, they're only going to spend $20 million. I'm like, like, do you not pay the fucking, like, these people don't pay attention. Like, they just don't pay attention.
They don't pay attention. And that's the thing that gets me. It's like, granted, I'm plugged in because this is what I do for a hobby. But it's like, do you not read like the 5 like, even if you miss the Recode Media podcast where Greenblatt says, I wish it was only 30 million. Did you not read the 4 or 5 articles that come out quoting that? Because everyone takes that one thing to generate content for their own sites. You couldn't be bothered.
Well, that was the thing. Like Andy Signore had originally said the 20 million, I think. And then
20 million started popping up a few months ago with a lot of people, because I think that number might have been thrown out at some point. And so it became this like, oh no, they said they're not going to do the Snyder Cut because this 20 million thing. And I just like ignored it because I knew that there was like more talks. I was like, the talks aren't done yet. That's just a number that was posed at one point. And so all these like Twitter scoopers were like, oh no, I know because my person at DC said that he was told to take a hike when he asked for 20
Daniel
million.
Rickman.
Actually, Daniel, I talked to Daniel a little bit, and he got a lot quieter as things went on with the Snyder Cut. But there are other people who like right up to week of release were like, it's never going to happen. And like, you'd think that they'd like reflect for a minute and be like, oh, you know what? Let me stop making grand proclamations about this movie because I just ate shit like a week ago over this.
Oh, they have to save face. You know, they have to save face and sell T-shirts.
How hard is it to hedge your bets?
Talk about that, like, man.
just hedge your bets just a little bit. Like, just say like, I doubt this is going to happen, but we'll see. It's like so much better than that'll never happen, and then it happens. And you say it'll never happen again, and then it happens again. Like,
yeah, like people tried saying to me, like when this whole thing happened, they're like, "Oh, but you said it was never going to come out." I'm like, I never said it didn't exist, but I did at some point go, "Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come. I eventually think it's going to happen. I don't know when, and I'm not holding my breath until." For right now. But then as the last couple months from like November, when everyone started like dropping the hashtag and you're like, okay, wait, there's something seriously happening here.
Yeah.
And then all like the scoopers were talking about it at different times, but a lot of them are kind of going, the ones I read at least were like kind of all headed towards HBO Max. I know you wrote a bunch of articles, Stephen, about that. And a lot of people were just like looking at it as like, no, this seems like this, like the Occam's razor of the situation. And then of course, it fucking happened. I'm still kind of shocked at that.
Well, I think like once Snyder was like, hey, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then all of a sudden he dropped that hoodie. I mean, I think all of us were kind of like, wait a minute, that's a fucking trade. He trademarked that shit. Like, yeah. That's like,
well, that's official merchandise.
Yeah, that's official right there. Like something happened. Something fucking happened right there.
I never got a way to work this into an article, but and there was similar stuff published, but it's not exactly groundbreaking. But I talked to Ink to the people. I talked to like their marketing manager, and to ask for information about the licensing. So I was like, "You guys don't do licensed stuff, right?" They're like, "Right, you have to license." And I said, "So, are you able to provide any information about how Zack Snyder's has a license? Does he own the license for that, or did you have to have a separate agreement?" And she was like, "I can't divulge that information, but I'll check for you." And I got a quote back from Wes Collar, who co-owner of not Cruel and Unusual anymore. Now it's Stone Quarry. And the quote was, Stone Quarry does not divulge any information about our business relationships or something like that, which I was like, that is a brilliant quote. Because you just confirmed that you have a relationship that gives you a license and permission to use, like that is explicit permission that you can use that.
So this whole thing was, I don't want to use the term like grift or con, but it was a play. It was a play. It's got to, I mean, Zach must have just been laying the groundwork for like.
Not only that, but THR says that he got a call from Emmerich the morning of the 18th to decide to go do it. And that's everybody saying like, oh, it was that event that turned. Yeah. The event was huge. The event was a big deal.
Very big.
And maybe Emmerich did call him. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I can guarantee you for a fact that was not the first contact that they had on the topic as THR presents. And that's not me like making a brand proclamation. Like I know for a fact that the wheels were turning long before then.
Well, even Mr. Greenblatt, what's his name? I don't know.
Greenblatt, yeah.
He said last fall, and I'm like, that's got to be before November for sure that they were talking about this. And I think like when it came to the November 17th push for the hashtag, I mean, Snyder was just like, he reached out, was like, we got to do this. I mean, even my source was like, yeah, today's the day to fucking do it. And then it was
at that point they were arguing, like they had agreed. My understanding is they basically understood, like, we want to make this happen.
Yeah.
There's a dollars and cents conversation. And so he's like, all right, cool. Let's talk dollars and cents. Here's a number one worldwide trending. It trended more than any other DC movie ever. It doesn't exist. Right.
Yeah. I would just wake up randomly on days and I checked Snyder Cut's trending again. I'm like,
yeah,
what the hell is going on?
It was crazy. And then we were hearing like, oh yeah, Ben Affleck's gonna do it, and Gal Gadot's gonna do it, and possibly Henry Cavill. And it was like, what the fuck is going on? And I mean, we were kind of iffy, like, oh, is Ben Affleck really gonna do it? And then he did it. And then we're like, where's Henry? And then it's just like nothing happened. And then it was like, okay. Some people, of course, in the fandom were like, oh, fuck Henry, blah, 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 this, that, and this. And then, Grace said her things about Henry and blah, blah, blah.
I watched that today. I heard her talk about that today. Yeah. I think a lot of it was.
Uh-oh.
Matt?
I think we lost you, Matt. Anyways.
Matt, hold on. Am I back?
Oh, yeah, you're back.
You're back.
Okay. Fucking StreamYard.
I know.
I think Danny Garcia is a big factor in this.
100%.
Like there must have been a negotiation that didn't go through, and that was like they were, Henry. I think he seems like such a sweet, but like
he does.
He wants to like please everybody. And so maybe he just was like, maybe I'll let my agent handle this, and I just don't want to get anyone mad at me or something. I don't know. I mean, I did think that was a bit weird.
He won't go against her, which is probably his. I think any agent would prefer that their clients didn't go against them. And that's why I like earlier I was saying I'm always iffy on Man of Steel 2 because her play was Man of Steel 2 over the Snyder Cut because it would have been a different interpretation. It would have, like you read between the lines with him talking about, he was asked about it and he's like, that's the past. I want to talk about the future of Superman. And what I'm really interested in is what happens to Superman after Man of Steel. I want to continue that story, basically saying I want to ignore Batman v Superman and Justice League. And instead of doing the Snyder Cut, what I want is a Superman sequel because that's what Danny wanted. And so that was being leveraged against the Snyder Cut to some extent. I don't know how serious that was. And what I said back when people were like, why isn't Henry tweeting? What I said at the time, just going to toot my own horn about this because I retweeted it recently, was that he'll come out in support of the cut as soon as Danny realizes that that's the only way he's going to play Superman again. And then that's why he's out like again now is because finally they were like, okay, cool. This is like the best route back into the character because we can't shoehorn ourselves in somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I made this point on social media, and you can call BS on it if you think so. But the question that came up earlier in the stream about does this movie redeem Cavill? Does it redeem Affleck? And Dave, you were saying it redeems Snyder, but I think in a way what it does is I do believe personally that it redeems Cavill's Superman in a way because what is the last freaking thing we have stuck in our heads? It's either
it's true
CGI face or headless cameo in Shazam. And my argument is, and maybe I'm off base here because I don't have the 4-letter word. I just have my feelings as a fan, and just working with what information I do have is that was a stain on his brand as the character.
You don't even know, like I was standing like on the red carpet watching all these guys go in, like the Justice League premiere in LA. Like I was there. I didn't go to the premiere, but I was outside of it. When I saw Cavill, I'm like, does this guy realize his face is fucked up? like through most of the movie, like the opening and the end. I'm like, yeah. So like I didn't really take into account of that when that question was asked. Is like, yeah, I mean it does redeem. I mean it redeems his pretty face, I guess you could say, that we all want to.
But it also redeems his arc as a character because as it is perfectly perfectly clear in the theatrical cut. Now, I haven't seen that thing since 2017, but every line of dialogue he speaks.
I'm also a big fan of Justice.
Right. Every line he speaks is a reshoot because the only times that you don't see CGI face is a couple of action shots.
I think it was like when Steppenwolf is trying to punch him. His face looks fine.
And the bullet time with Flash, the one cool scene of the Flash running around him at Heroes Park.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah,
but once again, it was Cavill's face, and so I feel like they didn't. I think Garcia and they didn't bank on. Wow, this punched us in the balls, this is what's really hurting our negotiating power. But we go back, we do the movie that was not even supposed to be released, like the version that was never going to make it to the theaters in the first place, and we get the Superman arc in all of its appropriate glory. And I feel like that's going to sell the character, along with the fact of the article the news drops that he's renegotiating or he's back in talks. He trends because it's Henry Cavill and people do want to see him again.
Well, and also since the theatrical cut came out, he's had several turns as a villain or like a darker
anti-hero.
An anti-hero. Yeah. And is he an anti-hero in The Witcher? Would he be, or is he just a dark?
No, he's a hero. He's I wouldn't call him an anti-hero because he gets paid to do it. His entire goal is money.
But he's a heroic person. He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's an asshole. But he's like Geralt of Rivia. Like I love his performance as Geralt. I fucking adore that performance because he's so. Because I remember when they were doing the promo tour for Fallout, and there were talks at the time of the Netflix Witcher show. And someone had asked Henry about it in an interview, and he's like, yeah, I really love that game. I'm on my third playthrough of the Wild Hunt. And I heard that, and I kind of set up and went like, third? Dude, what the fuck? I can't even finish one. Like third? Because I mean, that game is 100+ hours.
Well, it's like when he joined the stream, he had the gamer headset on. So people were making memes of him, like,
oh, that was so brilliant.
Like a Twitch streamer.
I saw him. Yeah.
I was gonna say though that I think that the reception for him in Justice League, I think a lot of the dark Superman criticisms are going to be blunted a little bit by the fact that we've seen him now as like outright villainous or just kind of the grumpy hero kind of take. And so when he comes back as black suit Superman, and they play a lot more with that, like, is he good or evil kind of question, and we get evil Superman in the nightmare scene more, I think that's going to be a lot more palatable to people because Henry Cavill is now more of a known entity than he was when he drew those criticisms in the past.
And the fact that, when we go back to Zach's Man of Steel watch party, and he points out in the Krypton scenes and in the scout ship that the black suit isn't evil Superman. The black suit is just the House of L. So what that is, what I'm seeing then is he's kind of going back to that Kryptonian, Kryptonian heritage, and the blue and red and yellow suit being a symbol of hope for humanity, which was Jor-El's
black suit is finding himself. Blue and red suit is a beacon.
Right. It's him becoming the symbol. He goes back. He comes back to life. He's reborn as Kal-El.
Yeah.
And he has to go on that journey to become Superman.
Actually, that's a great distinction. Is the black suit's the Kal-El suit, the blue and red suit is the Superman suit. Yep. That's what he said in the commentary was, the black suit's the family suit and the blue and red is like the public face. When he said that, I was like, saying this for a reason.
It's the human PR suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very exciting where, you know, what we're going to see with Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, I mean, everything that you like what we were talking about is like everything we see Superman do. I mean, even like the, you know, carrying of the building, which doesn't even make sense. If you really like break it down, it's just like it's like, oh yeah, okay, Superman is carrying an apartment building full of people somehow. Cool. You know, and it just...
You mean in the place that was supposed to be abandoned?
Yeah, I know. Yes, exactly. And we talk about there's a family with bug spray there. Oh my God, watch out! They're gonna spray them, you know, spray the parademons with bug spray. Yeah, but I think we're all just pretty excited to see, you know, his scenes in that. And I mean, the fact that Cavill went on to that live watch after it was done, and then he talked about it, and then he even joked about how his face looked, you know, in that live stream. And I mean, I love the fact that he actually joked about it. They all joked about it. And then he was just like telling Snyder, do it. I mean, I don't know how much, I mean, that the fact that when people were giving him shit and the fact that he didn't tweet out the hashtag in November, I mean, that totally made up for it. And then some, just doing that, just showing up, talking to Snyder and answering questions from fans. And then and then the fact that he showed up with the mustache, which was, that was,
yeah. That was funnier
than
to
shave that puppy.
He also came in at the end of the movie, and they were talking, and they were just like reminiscing about the movie and laughing and smiling. And the soundtrack you could hear was, "Is it what's gonna? What are you gonna do when you're not saving the world?" Is that
that's the track? Yes.
Yeah. And that's playing. You can hear that playing behind them, and so it's like the theme song to their conversation. Also, it's just such a great moment how that all kind of came together.
It's just so great. But anyways, I think we could end it on that, boys. We're going 3 hours here. You know, I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of things to come. I mean, we're going to be talking about this for like the next year. Speculation, all kinds of stuff. Expect more longer, drunken fucking live streams, whatever. You know, I mean, I appreciate everybody that always comes on to the Vodka stream, and I always let's end it with plugs. Scott, go ahead, plug yourself.
Scott over at DC Film Squadcast. It was part of squadcastmedia.com. You can see my Twitter handle right there. There I am. Follow me on Twitter. I don't do anything ridiculous.
Okay, Steven, go ahead.
You can find me on Twitter at SM Colbert or on I write for Screen Rant.
The other Stephen Colbert, not Colbert. It's Colbert, guys.
Yes, and you can listen to me talk more about Batman v Superman on BVS by the Minute with Andrew Dice.
That was the 12th time he plugged that. Anyways, I get it. Hey,
we agreed to 12. We're gonna get 12 every time.
That's what it is. Yeah. And Mr. Jarbo, go ahead and plug yourself, man.
You guys can find me on $3 Theater here on YouTube. I do daily commentary on stuff. And you can follow me on Twitter at mjarbo. I tweet a lot, so be warned.
Yeah, be warned. Yeah, we all tweet a lot, and we all, you know, we all think we're philosophical, but we're just talking about stuff. We're just, you know, using our thumbs to just express our opinions and everything. Especially me, I just talk nonsense. But anyways, guys, I appreciate everybody. Appreciate Mario Robles. Follow him. Revenge of the Fans. I'm not even sure what his Twitter handle is. I know it's like DJ something. He does weddings.
I DJ weddings.
There it is. That one. Thank you, Scott. Right there. In for the clutch. But anyways, guys, everybody in the live chat, appreciate you guys listening. Here's my last little drink of vodka. Cheers, guys. Much more to come, of course. And I appreciate all you guys joining the stream.
Thank you. I drink water.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that water went down smooth. Hey, all right. Talk to you guys later.